The first time my daughter answered my wife's phone, I assumed Elaine was in the shower. "Hey, Nat," I said, "can you put your mother on?" There was a pause long enough for me to hear a television murmuring behind her. "She's resting." At 10:30 in the morning? People rest at 10:30. I didn't say they didn't. You said it like you did. I stood at our kitchen counter with Elaine's blue coffee mug in front of me. I'd made 2 cups out of habit, then poured mine into the travel mug I used in the garage. Hers was getting cold beside the sugar bowl. "Tell her I called, okay? I'll decide when she wakes up." That word caught me. Decide? Natalie exhaled through her nose. She'd done that since she was 20, as if I were a customer disputing a clearly printed return policy. "I mean, I'll tell her when she wakes up." "All right. Is there something you need?" I called my wife, Natalie, and I'm asking if there's something you need. I looked at the empty chair across from me. "Just tell her I called." Natalie hung up without saying goodbye. 3 days earlier, Elaine had asked me for space. 3 days later, our daughter was answering her phone and deciding which pieces of me were allowed through. The part I couldn't understand was why Elaine was letting her. It had started Tuesday night with a light bulb. That sounds ridiculous, but marriages are full of ridiculous things that turn out not to be ridiculous at all. Elaine was standing on one of our dining chairs, reaching for the frosted glass fixture over the table. I came in carrying a bag of groceries and nearly dropped a jar of spaghetti sauce. "What are you doing?" She looked down at me. "Changing the bulb." "Get off that chair! I'm almost done." The leg wobbles. It does not. I glued it 6 years ago. I know what it does. She climbed down with the bulb still in her hand. I set the groceries on the table, got the proper step stool from the laundry room, and changed it in under a minute. When I came down, she was putting tomatoes in the refrigerator. "Tomatoes don't go in there," I said. Her hand stopped on the produce drawer. I knew immediately that I had made some kind of mistake. Not what kind, but some kind. "You know what?" she said. "Maybe I want cold tomatoes. They lose flavor. Maybe I'm tired of flavor." I laughed because I thought she was being funny. She put all 6 tomatoes in the drawer, closed it, and walked upstairs. I made dinner, nothing complicated, just spaghetti, salad, garlic bread from the freezer. I left her plate warming in the oven and waited through an entire baseball game. At 11, I went upstairs. Elaine was sitting on the edge of the bed with 2 open suitcases on the floor. One was the gray rolling bag we use for short trips. The other was the floral suitcase she'd bought for a cruise we never took because my knee surgery got moved up. She had sweaters folded inside it, which seemed strange in August. "Where are you going? I need some space." I leaned against the doorframe. "From what?" She gave me a look that made the question seem insulting. "From this. This room. This marriage, Daniel. When you've been married 34 years, there are certain sentences your body refuses to process at normal speed. The words arrive, but they don't connect to anything. I noticed a loose thread hanging from the bedspread. I remember thinking I should get scissors before someone pulled it. Did something happen? Yes. What? She stood and crossed to the dresser. I got tired. Tonight? She turned around. "Do you hear yourself? I'm trying to understand the timeline. That is exactly what I mean." She opened her jewelry box and took out the small zippered pouch she used when traveling. I watched her put in the pearl earrings I'd given her on our 20th anniversary. "Is there somebody else?" "No." She didn't hesitate. That should have relieved me. "Are you sick?" "No." "Did I do something?" "Not one thing. That's not helpful." "Helpful." She laughed once, but there wasn't any pleasure in it. "Of course that's what you want. You want me to be helpful while I'm leaving you. I want you to tell me why. I have told you why, for years. You've never said you wanted to leave. I said I was lonely. I said I was tired of making every emotional decision in this house. I said I wanted you to talk to me instead of fixing things around me. You were changing a bulb standing on a broken chair. It is not about the bulb. Then don't make it sound like I'm wrong for not wanting you to crack your head open." She closed her eyes. I thought she was counting. Elaine counted when she got angry. She once made it to 19 after I backed into our neighbor's mailbox. "I'm going to Natalie's," she said. That surprised me almost as much as the suitcases. Natalie had been divorced 6 months. Her ex-husband, Ryan, had left the week before Christmas after announcing that he'd been unhappy for years. Elaine considered this proof of cowardice. I privately thought it proved people could share a kitchen and still live in separate countries. Natalie had a 2-bedroom apartment across town. Elaine had been spending 2 or 3 nights a week there since the divorce, usually returning with an empty casserole dish and a fresh list of reasons Ryan was emotionally defective. How long? I don't know. A night? A week? I don't know, Daniel. Should I call you tomorrow? I don't know. What do you know? She looked at me then, and the anger went out of her face. That was worse. Anger had always meant Elaine still expected something. I know I can't breathe in this house anymore. I stepped away from the doorway. It wasn't meant as a dramatic gesture. She had 2 suitcases, and I was blocking the easiest path to the stairs. I never wanted you to feel that way. I know. Those 3 words followed me downstairs. She carried the gray bag. I took the floral suitcase because it was heavier, and because carrying heavy things was one of the few parts of the evening I understood. At her car, I lifted it into the trunk. Your left rear tire is low. Elaine stared at me over the open trunk. Not dangerously, I added. Probably 5 pounds. I'm leaving you, and you're checking my tires. I'm standing next to the tire. You always have a reason for checking tires? For being somewhere other than where you are. She slammed the trunk and got into the car. I could have stopped her, not physically. I could have leaned down to the window and told her I was scared. I could have asked her not to go without trying to make the request sound like a practical proposal. Instead, I said, "Text me when you get there." She did. 2 words, "I'm here." I replied, "Good." The next morning, I found the tomatoes in the refrigerator and took them out. Then I stood there holding them, hearing her voice. Maybe I want cold tomatoes. I put them back. I went through the day as if Elaine were visiting Natalie under ordinary circumstances. I made coffee. I cleaned the pan I had left soaking. I drove to the hardware store for a new rubber foot for the dining chair, then sat in the parking lot wondering if repairing it would prove her point. I bought the rubber foot anyway. Around noon, I texted her, "Hope you slept okay." No answer. At 4, I sent, "Let me know if you need anything from home." Nothing. At 8, I typed, "I love you." I deleted that because it looked like a lever. Then I typed, "Good night." I deleted that too. I slept on my side of the bed. The sheets on Elaine's side remained smooth and cool, except near the middle where I reached over sometime before dawn. The following morning, I waited until 10:30 to call. Natalie answered. After she hung up, I drank my coffee cold. At noon, Elaine sent a message. "I'm okay. Please give me time." I wrote, "Of course." Then I added, "I'm here when you're ready." She reacted with a thumbs up. There should be a special category of marital pain for receiving a thumbs up from someone who once wrote 3 pages in your anniversary card. I kept busy that afternoon. I changed the rubber foot on the chair. I tightened the other 3 while I was there. I vacuumed under the dining table and found one of Elaine's silver hoop earrings near the baseboard. I held it in my palm for a while. Then I called her again. Natalie answered on the 4th ring. "Dad." "I found your mother's earring. Okay. It's one of the silver hoops she wears all the time. I can tell her. I thought she might be looking for it. She's not." "You asked her?" "Dad, she's sitting right here." I stopped moving, then put her on. She doesn't want to talk right now. I could hear something in the background, fabric shifting, a glass being set on a table. Elaine was close enough to hear every word. "Elaine?" "Don't do that," Natalie said. "Do what? Say my wife's name?" Force her into a conversation. "I'm not forcing anybody. I'm holding an earring. You're using the earring." I almost laughed. "Using it for what? To create contact after she asked you for space. Your mother left after 34 years, Natalie. I'm allowed to want contact. She's allowed not to give it to you." From somewhere beyond the phone, Elaine said something too quietly for me to make out. What did she say? She said she needs more time. Let me hear that from her. You just did. No, I heard it from you. Natalie's voice changed. It got lower and slower, the way people speak when they've decided calmness belongs to them. "Dad, she doesn't owe you access just because you're married." I looked down at the silver hoop resting against my lifeline. That's not how marriage works. Maybe that's how your marriage worked. Maybe that's the problem. There were a dozen things I could have said. I could have reminded her who drove to her apartment at midnight when Ryan left. I could have asked when my daughter became an expert on the marriage she only knew from one side. I could have told Elaine to come get her own phone. Instead, I said, "I'll bring the earring over. No, I can leave it outside. She doesn't need it today. It belongs to her, and she knows where it is." The call ended. The next morning, I made 1 cup of coffee. I lasted until 11 before putting the earring in my pocket, buying Elaine's usual drink from the coffee shop near Natalie's apartment, and driving across town. I told myself I was only dropping things off. Natalie opened the building's main door before I reached the buzzer. She wore gray sweatpants, a college t-shirt, and the expression she used to wear when I asked whether she'd changed the oil in her car. "You shouldn't be here. I brought your mother's earring." I held up the small envelope I'd put it in. "And coffee," she said. "That's generally what they put in these cups." "Dad, I'm not coming in." "You can't keep ignoring what she asked for. I've called twice. 3 times. The first time you answered. All 3 times I answered." I looked past her toward the stairwell. "Is she upstairs?" Natalie stepped outside and let the door shut behind her. "You think showing up with coffee makes you the good guy. I don't think there are good guys. I think there's a woman upstairs who's been my wife longer than you've been alive, and you still don't know how to listen to her." The coffee was hot against my palm. I set it on the brick ledge beside the entrance and handed Natalie the envelope. "I'm trying." "No, you're waiting for this to blow over so you can go back to normal. What do you want me to do?" Her face tightened, and for 1 second she looked less like my prosecutor than the exhausted woman I had found, sitting on a kitchen floor 6 months earlier, surrounded by broken Christmas ornaments after Ryan emptied the hall closet. "It isn't about what I want." Then let Elaine answer. She has answered, through you, because I'm listening. The apartment door opened behind us. I heard it before Natalie did. Elaine stood inside the glass entryway wearing the green cardigan she kept over the back of our bedroom chair. Her hair was uncombed. Her eyes found mine, then dropped to the coffee on the ledge. I moved toward the door. Natalie blocked it. 5 minutes, I said. Elaine's hand rested against the glass, but she didn't open it. Natalie looked me straight in the face. "You've had 34 years. Then she turned, went inside, and locked the door between us. For a few seconds, I stayed where I was, staring through the glass. Elaine's hand fell to her side. Natalie said something to her. Elaine shook her head, but I couldn't tell whether she was refusing Natalie or refusing me. The coffee sat on the brick ledge between the door and my right elbow. I considered taking it with me. That would have been the dignified thing. Instead, I left it there like an offering to a small, hostile god and walked back to my truck. By the time I reached the corner, I was furious. Not loud furious. I didn't pound the steering wheel or turn around and demand entry. My anger had always preferred useful disguises. It wanted to mow the lawn, reorganize the garage, clean every gutter on the block. Give me a betrayal, and I'd find something that needed a socket wrench. At home, I pulled the dining chair into the garage and removed the rubber foot I'd installed the day before. There was nothing wrong with it. I put it back on. Then I removed the other 3. The chair stood upside down on my workbench while I compared 4 nearly identical pieces of rubber and tried not to hear Natalie saying I'd had 34 years. At 12:15, my phone buzzed. "Please don't come here without asking." The message was from Elaine. I sat on the stool beside my workbench and read it twice. "I'm sorry. I wanted to see you." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then returned. "I know. That's why you came." I typed, "That doesn't make sense." Before I send it, another message arrived. "You keep turning what you want into something that sounds reasonable." I looked at the chair. All I'd wanted was 5 minutes with my wife. When I put it that way, I was clearly reasonable. When I pictured Elaine standing behind the glass, wearing an old cardigan, and looking as if she hadn't slept, the reasonableness got harder to hold. I erased my reply. "You're right, I should have asked." This time her response came quickly. "Thank you." I waited, expecting more. There wasn't any. I wrote, "I need to ask one thing." No answer, but I kept going. "If you don't want to talk, tell me yourself. Please don't have Natalie do it." The dots appeared for so long that I imagined Elaine passing the phone to our daughter so they could discuss the proper response. Finally, she wrote, "I asked her to answer because I wasn't ready. That was different from Natalie appointing herself. It should have made me feel better. It didn't. Okay, I'll give you time. But I need to hear decisions about our marriage from you." She didn't respond. I finished the chair. Then I carried it into the house, put it beneath the dining table, and sat on it harder than necessary. It didn't wobble. The doorbell rang at 2. I knew it wouldn't be Elaine. The day wasn't built that way. It was our son, Marcus, holding a cardboard drink carrier and wearing sunglasses even though the porch was shaded. He was 35 and had inherited Elaine's ability to look disappointed before anyone spoke. "I brought coffee," he said. "Apparently that runs in the family." He lifted the carrier. "Should I take it back?" No. He followed me into the kitchen and looked around as though separation might leave a visible stain. You eating? I had spaghetti. When? Tuesday. Dad. I've eaten since Tuesday. I made spaghetti Tuesday. He set one cup in front of me. Black, no sugar. He had remembered. Marcus sat across from me and peeled the cardboard sleeve off his cup in thin strips. Mom called me. Today? Last night. What did she say? That you two are having problems? I waited for him to continue. When he didn't, I said, that's all. She was upset. What did she say the problems were? His fingers stopped. I'm not doing this. Doing what? Carrying messages back and forth. Your sister's taken the position. Natalie thinks Mom needs somebody protecting her. From me? From pressure? I looked toward the refrigerator. The tomatoes were still in the produce drawer, cold and flavorless by request. Did your mother tell you I pressured her? She said you came to the apartment. I brought an earring. And coffee. I'm starting to regret the coffee. You should. I stared at him. Marcus held up one hand. Not because coffee is abusive, because you do that. You decide what somebody needs and then you deliver it before they can say no. It was a beverage. That's what I mean. You reduce everything until you can win. I'm not trying to win. You asked me exactly what Mom said, so you could determine whether her complaint met the technical requirements. I asked because no one will tell me what's happening. She left Dad, I noticed. He looked away. Behind him, sunlight caught a streak on the patio door. I'd cleaned that glass the previous weekend. When Ryan left Natalie, Marcus said, you said a person doesn't walk out all at once. I said that at her apartment. You said they walk out an inch at a time, and the suitcase is just the last trip. It sounded like me. Annoyingly, it sounded like a version of me who understood other people's marriages better than his own. I don't know when your mother started leaving, I said. Maybe ask her. Your sister won't let her answer the phone. Marcus flinched. She'll talk when she's ready. That's what Natalie says. Maybe Natalie is right. I stood and carried my untouched coffee to the counter. I didn't trust myself to sit still. When you got laid off, I said, did I tell you to call me when you were ready? His jaw shifted. That's different. I drove 400 miles because you said, I'm fine, in a voice that told me you weren't. And then you sat in my apartment for 2 days fixing things. The toilet ran all night. You could hear a toilet running from a moving vehicle. I also sat with you. You did. Neither of us spoke for a while. Marcus took a drink and made a face. He had probably ordered it sweet enough to preserve fruit. I'm not saying you don't show up, he said. You always show up. Sometimes you show up so hard nobody else gets to say what showing up should look like. That sounds like something Natalie said. It is. At least she's consistent. He almost smiled. My phone vibrated on the counter, a text from Natalie. Mom needs her blood pressure pills, the white phone charger, her tan walking shoes, the green scarf from the hall closet, and her mail. Marcus watched me read it. What? I handed him the phone. He sighed. Just pack the stuff. Your mother has a white charger at the apartment. I gave Natalie 2 of them when she moved. You're doing it again. Doing what? Making a simple request difficult because it didn't arrive correctly. It didn't arrive from Elaine. She's your daughter. She's not my wife's administrative assistant. He slid the phone back across the counter. You don't get to demand perfect communication in the middle of a bad situation. Neither does Natalie. I picked up the phone and called Elaine. It rang 6 times. Natalie answered. Dad, did you see my text? I'm looking for your mother's pills. They're in the upstairs bathroom, 2nd drawer on the right. I know where they are. Then why are you calling? To ask Elaine what else she needs. I sent the list. I saw the list. Marcus leaned back and rubbed both hands over his face. Natalie said, Can you please not turn this into a whole thing? I am asking to speak to my wife for 30 seconds. You were asked to give her time. You just asked me to pack her underwear. I didn't say underwear. It's a reasonable assumption. God, Dad. Marcus stood, took the phone from my hand, and ended the call. What the hell? She's upset. You're upset. Nobody's communicating. I was communicating. You were performing a cross-examination over a phone charger. It was a white phone charger. He gave me the kind of look a doctor gives a patient who has just admitted to eating batteries. I went upstairs. Elaine's blood pressure pills were exactly where Natalie said. I put the bottle in the gray canvas tote Elaine used for the farmer's market. The charger lay plugged in beside the bed. Her tan shoes were in the closet. Her scarf hung downstairs, looped twice over a wooden hanger because she said hooks stretched the fabric. Her mail included 2 catalogs, a dental appointment reminder, and an envelope from the Community Arts Center. I put everything in the tote without opening it. Then I stood in front of her dresser. The top drawer contained socks and underwear. Natalie had not requested either. Elaine had packed enough for a few days, but how many days was space? Was I supposed to guess when she would run out? I called down the stairs. Marcus? He appeared in the bedroom doorway. How much should I pack? His eyes moved from the open drawer to me. I don't know. Exactly. You could give her everything. The answer hit with more weight than he intended. He saw it happen. I didn't mean, I know. We packed a week. Underwear, socks, 2 pairs of jeans, several shirts. Marcus folded things carelessly. I refolded them, then stopped when I saw him watching. Leave them, he said. They'll wrinkle. Maybe Mom wants wrinkled shirts. It wasn't funny, but I laughed anyway. He drove the tote to Natalie's apartment. I stayed home because I'd been told not to come. That was my first successful act of listening, and it felt exactly like surrender. Elaine called at 6:20. I answered before the first ring finished. Hello? Hi. Her voice made the kitchen rearrange itself around me. Did you get everything? Yes. Thank you. I wasn't sure what you needed, so Marcus helped. I saw. Your green scarf is in the side pocket. Okay. And the charger's under the shoes, so it doesn't fall out. Okay. I gripped the edge of the counter. Elaine, are you alone? A pause. Natalie's in the kitchen. Can we talk? I called to thank you. I know. Can we talk for a minute? She let out a tired breath. About what? I need to know what you mean by space. I don't know yet. Are you coming home? I don't know. Are we separated? I don't know, Daniel. Do you want to be married to me? Silence. Then Natalie's voice, farther away. Mom? Elaine didn't answer her. I said, that shouldn't be a hard question. It's not hard. It's big. All right, big. You're doing it again. What am I doing? Demanding that I have an answer because you're uncomfortable without one. I'm more than uncomfortable. I know. No, I don't think you do. She was quiet long enough for me to hear a cupboard close at Natalie's apartment. Finally, Elaine said, I spent years being lonely 5 feet away from you. You've spent 4 days alone, and now loneliness is an emergency. That one went in clean. I'm sorry, I said. I have to go. Wait. What? Did you ask Natalie to send that list? Another pause. Yes. Did you ask her to answer your phone today? Elaine didn't reply immediately. Some of the time, she said. What does that mean? It means I don't want to fight. I'm not trying to fight. Neither is she. In the background, Natalie said, You don't have to explain yourself. Elaine's breathing changed. Give me the phone, Natalie said. No, Elaine told her. It was the first encouraging word I'd heard all week. Then the line went dead. I stared at the dark screen until my reflection appeared in it. She had said no to Natalie. Then she had hung up on me. I chose to treat the first event as more important, which was either optimism or another way of arranging facts to suit myself. I slept badly. Around 3, I went downstairs and ate garlic crackers over the sink. Elaine hated when I ate them in bed because the crumbs could survive a nuclear winter. I realized I was still standing over the sink in an empty house to avoid irritating a woman sleeping 6 miles away. At 8 the next morning, she texted, I need to pick up a few more things tomorrow. Is 11 okay? I wrote, yes. Then I stared at the message and added, Will you be coming alone? Her reply took 7 minutes. Natalie is driving me. I didn't ask why Elaine couldn't drive herself. Her car was parked at Natalie's building. Her left rear tire was probably still low. I wrote, okay. This time, Elaine sent a heart, not a red heart, a small yellow one. I didn't know enough about colored hearts to interpret the difference, and I refused to look it up. I spent the rest of the morning wondering anyway. At 10:50 the next day, I checked the front window. At 10:52, I checked again. I had cleaned the house Friday night, then tried to make it look less cleaned. I put a magazine on the coffee table and left one mug in the drying rack. The effort produced a room that looked staged for a commercial about a widower learning to use dish soap. I hadn't made coffee. At 11:07, Natalie's car pulled into the driveway. Elaine got out of the passenger side. Natalie came around the front as if Elaine might need help crossing our level walkway. I opened the door before they rang. "Hi," Elaine said. "Hi." Natalie nodded at me. "Dad." "You can call me Daniel if we're going to conduct this like a business transaction." Elaine closed her eyes briefly. "Please don't start." "I haven't started anything." "You started before we got out of the car," Natalie said. "You were standing behind the curtain. I was looking out my own window." Natalie picked up 2 empty canvas bags from the back seat. "Can we just get her things?" Elaine stepped inside and paused on the entry rug. People talk about a house feeling different after someone leaves. What they don't tell you is that the person who left feels different inside it too. Elaine looked around like a guest who recognized the furniture but didn't know whether she was allowed to sit. Her eyes went to the dining chair. "You fixed it." "Yes." "Of course you did. It needed a foot." Natalie made a small sound. I looked at her. "Is there an approved response I should have given?" "Dad, I'm asking." "No, you're baiting me." Elaine took off her cardigan and draped it over the chair. The gesture was so ordinary it nearly broke me. For years, I'd asked her to use the hook by the stairs. Seeing the sweater on the chair now felt like evidence that the house still knew her. "I'm going upstairs," she said. Natalie followed. I remained in the kitchen for exactly 40 seconds before going after them. Elaine stood inside our closet, moving hangers from one side to the other. Natalie sat on the bed, with a canvas bag open between her knees. "How much are you taking?" I asked. Elaine touched a blue blouse, then left it hanging. "I'm not sure, because I can clear a section in the guest room if you want things kept separate." Natalie stared at me. "She isn't moving to the guest room." I didn't say she was. I said I could make room. "There is room," Elaine said. "It's a guest room. I know. I meant closet room." "Daniel, please." I stood in the doorway, uncertain which part of my presence had become offensive. Elaine pulled out a pair of black pants and handed them to Natalie. Natalie folded them and put them in the bag. "Are those for work?" I asked. Elaine looked at me. "What? You usually wear those to the arts center." "I might go Wednesday." "Good." "Why is that good?" "You like it there." "I know I like it there." "I wasn't informing you." It sounded like approval. The room felt full of tripwires I couldn't see. Natalie folded another shirt. I said, "You don't need to supervise this. I'm helping. You're sitting on my bed packing my wife's clothes. It's Mom's bed, too. Then why are you answering for her?" Elaine stepped out of the closet. "Stop talking about me like I'm not here. I'm trying to talk to you." "No, you're fighting with Natalie because it's easier. That's not fair. Maybe it isn't." She sat on the edge of the mattress, leaving several feet between herself and our pillows. Natalie reached for her hand. I had seen that gesture between them 100 times. At funerals, at Christmas dinners, in the hospital waiting room when Elaine's mother had surgery. It had never bothered me before. Now it looked like membership in a country where I didn't speak the language. "What did I do?" I asked. Natalie's expression hardened. Elaine's didn't. "That's too big a question," she said. "Then give me one small answer. You want a list?" "No. I want something I can understand." "That's a list to you." I walked to the dresser and leaned against it. "You said I manage you? Tell me what that means." Elaine looked around the bedroom. "Do you remember when I wanted to paint this room?" "Yes." "What color?" I glanced at the walls. Pale gray. "The blue you showed me was too dark." That wasn't my question. I tried to picture the paint card, some kind of blue. Harbor Mist. Paint companies make up names. I carried that card in my purse for 6 months. "You said you liked the gray." "After you bought it. You told me it looked clean." "It did look clean," Natalie said. "This is what she means." I turned to her. "Were you there?" "No, but she told me." "When?" "Does it matter?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I'd like to know how long my marriage has been a discussion topic in your apartment." Elaine stood. "That's not what this is. What is it?" "I needed someone to talk to." "You could have talked to me." Natalie laughed. It wasn't loud. She probably didn't mean to do it. That didn't make it hurt less. I looked at her. "You have something to say? You really believe Mom didn't try?" "I'm asking your mother. You always say that when somebody tells you something you don't want to hear." "I'm asking your mother. I'm asking the doctor. I'm asking the person who was there." It's how you disqualify whoever is talking. Sometimes I'm asking the person who knows the answer. I know the answer. No, you know what she told you. Exactly. Elaine moved between us, though neither of us had raised our voice. Enough. Natalie looked at her. You don't have to protect him. I'm not protecting him. I'm asking both of you to stop. There it was again. Natalie assigning Elaine's motives before Elaine could name them. I saw Elaine notice it too. Only for a second. Then her phone rang. It lay on the bed beside the open bag. The screen showed Marcus's name. Natalie picked it up. I said, "Don't." She looked at me, thumb hovering over the screen. It's Marcus. I can see that. He might need something. It's your mother's phone, Natalie answered. Hey. Elaine closed her eyes. I watched her face while Natalie listened. No, we're at the house, Natalie said. Getting more clothes. Marcus's voice was faint and irritated through the speaker. Natalie turned away. I didn't say all her clothes. Elaine held out her hand. Natalie didn't see it. Nat, Elaine said. Natalie kept talking. Sunday dinner is obviously not happening. I looked at Elaine. Sunday dinner had been happening for 11 years, sometimes with just Marcus, sometimes with Natalie and Ryan before the divorce, sometimes with people Elaine invited, because she'd decided no one should eat alone on Sunday. I cooked the meat. Elaine did everything else, including remembering Sunday existed. Give me the phone, Elaine said. Natalie turned. Marcus is asking about dinner. I heard you. Elaine took the phone from her. Hi, honey. I left the bedroom. Downstairs, I opened the refrigerator and looked at enough food for 5 people. A roast sat on the bottom shelf. Elaine had bought it Monday, before space, before cold tomatoes became a declaration of independence. I'd assumed we would have it Sunday. I heard footsteps behind me. Elaine stood at the kitchen entrance with her phone in her hand. Natalie remained upstairs. Marcus asked if dinner was canceled, she said. I heard. I told him yes. Okay. She looked into the refrigerator. You took the tomatoes back out. I followed her eyes. The tomatoes sat in a bowl beside the sink. I didn't remember moving them. Habit, I said. She crossed the kitchen, picked up one, and held it under the faucet. I wasn't really asking for cold tomatoes, I figured. She dried it with a paper towel. I was asking you to let me do one thing the wrong way. You could have said that. I did. About 100 different things. Not the tomatoes. No, Daniel. Not specifically the tomatoes. She bit into one like an apple. Juice ran over her thumb. I had never seen her eat a tomato that way. I wondered if she had ever done it when I wasn't around. I'm sorry about the paint, I said. Elaine chewed, swallowed, and looked up at the gray walls visible through the doorway. I don't want an apology for paint. What do you want? I want you to understand why it mattered. Because you carried the color for 6 months. Because I wanted to wake up inside a choice I had made. That answer was so clear, I couldn't defend myself against it. You should have told me you hated the gray. I didn't hate it. That was the problem. It was fine. Everything was always fine. I leaned against the counter. Were you unhappy our whole marriage? She frowned. No. The speed of her answer relieved me more than it should have. Then when? I don't know. Can you give me an approximate year? She almost smiled. It disappeared before it fully arrived. That's you, she said. You get scared, and suddenly we're building a timeline. I am scared. Her face changed. It was the first time I'd said it plainly. No joke, no question attached. She set the half-eaten tomato on a paper towel. I know. Do you? Yes. Then why won't you talk to me? Because the minute I see that you're scared, I start trying to make it better for you. I opened my mouth, then closed it. Elaine glanced toward the stairs. Natalie needs me right now. I need you. I know. Does that count? Pain moved across her face, followed quickly by anger. You had me needing you in the same house for years. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have today. Natalie came downstairs carrying 2 full canvas bags and the floral suitcase. I stared at the suitcase. Elaine saw me looking. I need more than a week, she said. How much more? I don't know. Natalie rolled the suitcase toward the door. Elaine picked up her cardigan from the dining chair. Before putting it on, she ran her hand over the top rail. It doesn't wobble, I said. I know. They left with the bags, the phone, and the floral suitcase. The half-eaten tomato remained on the counter. At 6 that evening, the family group chat lit up. Natalie had written, Sunday dinner is canceled for now. Please give Mom some peace. Marcus responded with a single question mark. I read the message until something in me went still. Then I wrote, Elaine can speak for herself. Natalie replied almost immediately. This is exactly why she needed space. Every boundary becomes an argument with you. I watched the 3 dots appear beneath her name. Before she could send whatever came next, I left the family chat. Leaving the group chat did not create peace. It created private messages. Marcus wrote first. That was dramatic. I replied, she announced the cancellation of a dinner she doesn't host in a house she doesn't live in. You still left the chat. Correct. You know she can add you back. I put my phone face down. It buzzed again before I reached the kitchen. This time, it was Natalie, and the message filled the screen. I read the first paragraph standing beside the sink. I read the next 3 sitting at the table. By the 7th, I had taken off my glasses and was holding the phone close to my face, as if physical distance might be part of the problem. She said I was violating Elaine's request by demanding direct communication. She said my visit to the apartment had been an escalation disguised as a caring gesture. She said I used practical favors to create obligation, questions to exhaust people, and technical correctness to avoid emotional accountability. Some of it sounded like Natalie. Some sounded borrowed. Then she got specific. You didn't even notice how hurt Mom was when you missed her final arts center concert. You just said you'd already gone to one that season, like she should be grateful you met the minimum requirement. I remembered the concert. Elaine sang with a community chorus for 3 years. They wore black dresses with narrow blue scarves and performed in a converted church that had uncomfortable folding chairs. I went to more than one concert. I'd missed the last because I had promised to help Marcus replace a water heater at his first house. I had told Elaine I'd make it up to her. Then I hadn't. Natalie's message continued. When Grandma was in surgery, Mom was terrified, and you talked about parking validation. She has spent her whole life taking care of everyone else's feelings because you refused to have any. That wasn't fair. I had driven Elaine's mother to every appointment for 6 months. I had installed safety rails in her bathroom, filled her freezer with meals, and slept in the hospital chair the night after the surgery. I had also talked about parking validation. The procedure had lasted 4 hours. During the 3rd, Elaine had said, "What if she doesn't wake up?" I'd said, "She will." Elaine asked how I knew. I told her the garage stopped validating tickets at midnight, so if we stayed longer, I should move the car. I remembered her staring at me. I remembered getting up and walking away before she could answer. What I hadn't remembered was why. My hands had started shaking. I'd gone to the parking garage because I didn't want Elaine to see. Natalie ended her message with a demand. If you really love her, stop centering your discomfort. Take responsibility without arguing over every example. Give her the space she asked for. I typed, "Your grandmother woke up." I erased it. I typed, "I attended 5 of your mother's concerts." I erased that too. I wrote, "Some of what you said is true." Then I set the phone down. It buzzed. That's not accountability. I went into the living room and turned on the television. A man was teaching another man how to restore an antique table. The second man applied stain in the wrong direction. I watched for 10 minutes, getting angrier at the table. My phone rang. Elaine's name filled the screen. I muted the television and answered, "Hello? Dad." I closed my eyes. "Why are you calling me from your mother's phone?" "Because you left the family chat and you're barely responding to me." "Where is your phone?" "That's not the point." "It seems very close to the point." "Mom is upset." "Then put her on." "She doesn't want to talk." "Did she ask you to call me?" Natalie hesitated. "She knows I'm calling. That wasn't the question." "See? This is what I mean. Everything becomes a deposition. I'm asking whether my wife asked you to use her phone to call me about our marriage. I'm trying to keep this family from getting worse. By impersonating your mother on caller ID, I didn't impersonate anyone. I said Dad the second you answered. That was my first clue. She made a frustrated sound. "Can you be serious for 1 minute?" "I am serious. You're calling from her phone because you knew I might not answer yours." Mom is crying. All the air seemed to leave the room. "Put her on?" "No." "Why?" "Because she finally calmed down." "Then, why tell me?" "Because you caused it." I stood and walked toward the front door without knowing where I thought I was going. "What happened?" "She saw that you left the chat. She thinks you're cutting us off to punish her." "I left because you spoke for her." She didn't want to deal with Sunday dinner. Then she could have written that. Why does it matter who typed it? Because if Elaine wants a marriage in which all communication goes through our daughter, she needs to say so herself. You make everything about rules. No. I'm trying to find out whether I still have a wife or whether I have a committee. There was silence on the line. I regretted the sentence immediately, not because it was entirely wrong, but because Elaine might have heard it. Is she there? Natalie said. You should apologize. For what part? All of it. That's not an apology. That's surrender. Maybe surrendering control is exactly what you need. Put your mother on the phone. I said no. Then we're done. I ended the call. My heart was beating hard enough to make my vision feel narrow. I walked into the kitchen, drank a glass of water, and filled it again without remembering the first. Then I called Elaine's phone back. Natalie rejected the call. I tried once more. Rejected. I sent Elaine a message. I'm sorry leaving the group upset you. I am not cutting you off. I won't discuss our marriage through Natalie. If you want to speak, I will always answer. The message showed as read. No response came. The roast stayed in the refrigerator until Sunday morning, when I decided throwing out $28 worth of meat would not improve my emotional maturity. Elaine usually took it out an hour before cooking. I remembered that after I had already seasoned it. I left it on the counter and went to find her recipe. She kept recipes in a red accordion folder above the microwave. I'd seen it there for years and had never opened it. Inside were sections labeled beef, chicken, fish, sides, desserts, holiday, and Daniel likes. That last tab contained meatloaf, beef stew, oatmeal cookies, and a baked macaroni dish I once said tasted better than my mother's. Elaine had written less mustard beside the meatloaf recipe and underlined it twice. The roast recipe wasn't there. I called Marcus. He answered with, "Are you back in the chat?" "No, then no. I need to know how your mother cooks the Sunday roast." He laughed before he could stop himself. "You're calling me? You've eaten it. I've eaten at restaurants too. I can't cook their food. Does she cover it? I don't know. Does she put water in the pan? I have never once inspected Mom's roast water." I looked at the seasoned meat sitting on the counter. "You want to come over? Aren't we canceled? I'm cooking anyway." "Did Mom ask you to?" "No. Did Natalie?" "I'm hanging up." He arrived an hour later with beer and a bag of dinner rolls. "What are those for?" I asked. "In case the roast doesn't work. It's meat in an oven. So, was that turkey you made in 2009? The thermometer was defective. The turkey had the texture of attic insulation. It was fully cooked. That was never in dispute. The roast came out dry at the edges and nearly raw in the center. I sliced off the cooked parts and put the rest back in. Marcus made instant mashed potatoes because I hadn't planned any sides. We ate at the kitchen table instead of the dining table, both of us facing the empty doorway. "This is weird," he said. "The meat's fine. I don't mean the meat." He opened another beer and didn't drink it. "Mom texted me this morning." "What did she say?" "She asked if I was coming here." "How did she know?" I told her. "You're allowed to do that?" "Dad." I cut my roast into smaller pieces than necessary. "She asked if you were okay," Marcus said. "She has my number. She's confused. So am I. She thinks you're angry." "I am angry. At her? Yes. And Natalie. And myself. It's been an efficient week." Marcus moved his potatoes around his plate. "Nat's going pretty hard." I looked up. "She's protecting Mom," he added quickly. "But the phone thing is strange. She called me from your mother's phone last night." "I know. How?" "She called me afterward." "From whose phone?" "Her own." That must have been disappointing. Marcus ignored that. "She said you were refusing to take accountability." I said some of what she wrote was true. "Which parts?" I set my fork down. "The concert, your grandmother's surgery, probably other things." "Why did you talk about parking when Grandma might have been dying?" My hands were shaking. Marcus stopped moving. "I didn't want your mother to see," I said. "Why?" "Because she was already scared." He leaned back in his chair. "So, you left her alone?" "I was gone 10 minutes. That isn't what I meant." I looked at his face and saw no accusation there, which somehow made it harder. "I thought staying calm helped her," I said. "Did it?" I never asked. Marcus drank his beer. His phone lit up on the table. "Natalie." He let it ring. A moment later, my phone rang too. Elaine's name appeared. Neither of us moved. "You should answer," Marcus said. "What if it's Natalie? What if it isn't?" I answered on speaker. "Hello?" Natalie's voice came through. "Is Marcus there?" Marcus looked at the phone. Why are you using Mom's phone again? He asked. A pause. Then Natalie said, because she wanted to know if you went to Dad's. Mom can ask me. She's upset that you two are having dinner like nothing happened. I looked at the dry roast, instant potatoes, and unopened dinner rolls. Nothing about this meal suggests nothing happened, I said. Can you not make jokes? Put Mom on, Marcus said. She's lying down. Then why does she need to know where I am? Natalie didn't answer. Marcus's expression changed, not dramatically. Just enough. Tell Mom I came because Dad invited me, he said. That doesn't mean I'm choosing sides. No one said it did. You called both of us. I'm trying to understand what's happening. So is Dad. It was the first thing Marcus had said in my defense. Natalie heard it too. Wow, she said softly. The call ended. Marcus stared at his plate. That went well. You should probably call her. Which one? I didn't have an answer. After he left, I washed the dishes and packed the remaining roast into containers. I put one in the freezer, one in the refrigerator, and threw away the raw center. Then I picked up my phone and wrote to Elaine. I love you. I hear that you want space, and I'm going to give it to you. I won't call or come by. I also won't communicate through Natalie. When you're ready to speak for yourself, I'll be here. I read it several times before sending. Elaine responded 20 minutes later. Okay, no heart, no thumbs up, just the word. I placed the phone in the kitchen drawer, where she kept cloth napkins and spare placemats. For the first time since she left, I stopped waiting for it to ring. The phone stayed in the drawer until morning. I knew it was there. I walked past it 6 times. Once I opened the drawer to get a placemat, saw the black screen resting on top of the blue napkins, and closed the drawer without taking either one. At 7:30, I finally checked it. 3 messages from Natalie. The first said, fine. The second said, I hope you realize that withdrawing completely is also a form of control. The third was a link to an article titled something like When Silence Becomes a Weapon. I didn't open it. If silence was a weapon, I wasn't sure what that made answering someone else's phone. There was one message from Marcus. Roast gave me heartburn. I replied, your beer gave you heartburn. He sent back, accountability is hard. Nothing from Elaine. I put the phone on the kitchen counter instead of returning it to the drawer. That felt like a reasonable compromise between waiting and pretending I wasn't waiting. By noon, I had cleaned the refrigerator. I found 3 jars of the same mustard, 2 expired salad dressings, and a plastic container of something that might once have been blueberries. Elaine usually handled expiration dates. I handled structural failures. If a shelf cracked, I replaced it. If food slowly transformed into a different category of matter, apparently, we let nature decide. I lined up everything on the counter and started throwing things away. Then I reached the half-eaten tomato. The cut edge had gone soft. Elaine's teeth marks were still visible in the skin. I stood over the trash can longer than any adult man should stand over a tomato. Finally, I wrapped it in a paper towel and threw it out. The doorbell rang while I was taking the garbage to the garage. Frank Donnelly stood on the porch holding a red plastic toolbox. Frank and I had worked together for 22 years before I retired. He was the only man I knew who could turn returning a borrowed wrench into a social ambush. You busy? He asked. Yes. With garbage? It won't take itself out. He looked past me. Elaine home? No. Shopping? No. Frank waited. I waited longer. He lifted the toolbox. Brought your meter back. You've had that for 8 months, and look how well you survived. He handed it to me, but he didn't leave. You want coffee? I asked. I thought you were busy. I can multitask. You can barely single-task without a checklist. I led him inside. Frank noticed Elaine's absence before I said anything. Her yellow purse wasn't on the hook. The small radio by the sink was off. And the house didn't smell like the cinnamon candles he claimed made his sinuses swell. He sat at the kitchen table while I made coffee. She leave you? He asked. I looked over my shoulder. You've been inside 40 seconds. She didn't go shopping without her purse. She's staying with Natalie. For how long? She needs space. Frank nodded thoughtfully. What did you do? Why does everybody ask that? Because Elaine didn't marry you for your conversational warmth. I set his coffee down harder than necessary. He added cream until the drink matched the color of wet cardboard. Is there somebody else? He asked. No. You sure? Yes. How? She said so. And you believe her? Yes, all right. He drank his coffee. That was one thing I liked about Frank. He could ask an insulting question and then accept the answer without trying to improve it. You tell her you're sorry, he asked. For what? There it is. I have apologized for specific things, such as paint. Frank stared at me. And a concert. Did you sleep with somebody at the concert? No. Then I don't understand your marriage. That makes two of us. He leaned back and looked toward the refrigerator. I had left all 3 mustard jars on the counter. You two had a system, he said. We had a marriage. Same thing after 30 years. I don't think Elaine would appreciate that description. Elaine doesn't appreciate half my descriptions. He picked up 1 mustard jar, checked the date, and put it back. Come to the repair cafe tomorrow. No? Why? I don't want to. That hasn't stopped you from doing most things. The repair cafe met twice a month in a room at the community arts center. People brought lamps, radios, small appliances, and furniture they didn't want to throw away. Frank had been volunteering since retirement and had invited me often enough that I no longer offered excuses. I have things to do here, like wait for the phone. I'm not waiting. Frank looked at the phone beside my elbow. Come for an hour, he said. If you hate it, you can leave and tell me I wasted your time. You enjoy that. I don't enjoy it. You're smiling. I wasn't, but I went anyway. The community arts center occupied an old brick church between a pharmacy and a tire shop. I had attended Elaine's chorus concerts in the former sanctuary. The repair cafe was downstairs in what had probably once been a fellowship hall. Frank introduced me to 6 people whose names I forgot immediately. Folding tables were covered with extension cords, screwdrivers, sewing supplies, and handwritten signs warning people not to plug anything in without asking. I was given a lamp shaped like a heron. Its owner, a woman named Gloria, placed it in front of me with both hands. My sister gave me this, she said. I examined the cord. It's frayed near the base. She bought it in Florida. That's probably not where it frayed. Gloria looked at Frank. Frank said, Daniel's new. I'm not new to wiring. I meant people. Gloria laughed. I didn't. I replaced the cord and socket. The lamp worked in 23 minutes. Gloria was pleased for approximately 5 seconds. The switch used to click twice, she said. It was a 3-way socket. Yes. You brought a regular bulb. I know what bulb I brought. A 3-way socket won't make a regular bulb have 3 settings. It had 2 clicks. I glanced at Frank. He was smiling over a toaster. Do you want it to click twice, or do you want 3 brightness levels? Gloria considered this. 2 clicks. I put in a 3-way socket. When she left, Frank came over and placed both palms on my table. You asked her what she wanted. I asked because what she wanted didn't make sense. It made sense to her. The second click does nothing. She left happy. I pointed at the empty doorway. That woman drove here with a dangerous cord and left satisfied by a useless click. People are mysterious. I stayed 3 hours. It wasn't enjoyable exactly. It was absorbing. A man brought in a box fan that had belonged to his father. A couple argued over whether an old waffle iron was worth saving, then held hands while I tested the heating element. A retired accountant named Lewis sat beside me repairing wooden clocks and talking without requiring much response. Near the end, a woman with short white hair stopped at my table. You're Elaine's husband. The sentence felt oddly accusatory, though she said it kindly. Yes, I'm Marcia Bell. I sing with her. I recognized her after she said it. She stood 2 rows behind Elaine at the concerts. Elaine's mentioned you, Marcia said. Recently? Her eyes shifted toward the broken radio in front of me. No, not recently. How is the chorus? We miss her. She's not going? She took a break in the spring. That surprised me. Elaine left the house every Wednesday evening with her black music folder. Since when? April, I think. What happened in April? Marcia looked uncomfortable. You'd have to ask her. Did she say why? She said she needed a change. I tried to remember where Elaine had gone on those Wednesday nights. I knew she sometimes stopped for coffee after rehearsal. I knew she came home around 9:30. I knew I usually watched a detective show she disliked. I had never asked what they were rehearsing. Tell her we'd love to see her, Marcia said. If I see her. She understood more from that sentence than I intended. I'm sorry, she said. Don't be. I'm apparently the last person to receive most information. Marcia touched the edge of the table, gave me a sad little nod, and left. Frank watched her go. You okay? Fine. Dangerous word in your house, isn't it? I unplugged the radio. When I got home, my phone showed 2 missed calls from Natalie and 1 message. Mom needs to know where you bought the bedroom lamp. I stared at it. The lamp was a ceramic thing with blue birds on the shade. Elaine had picked it at a home store almost 10 years earlier. I paid because I was standing closer to the register. I didn't respond to Natalie. 20 minutes later, Elaine texted. "Where did we get the lamp on my nightstand?" I answered immediately. "Harrison Home, near the old mall. I think it closed." She replied, "Natalie likes it." I wrote, "You picked it." "I know." A minute passed. "I thought it was too expensive." I smiled despite myself. "You did." "I bought it anyway." "You complained all the way home." "I was preparing to enjoy it." She sent a laughing face. It was the first exchange we'd had that felt like us. I stood in the kitchen holding my phone, afraid that any additional word would frighten it away. I set the phone down. It buzzed before I moved. "Marcia says she saw you." I wrote, "Frank dragged me to the repair cafe. Did you fix anything?" "A heron lamp. The owner valued clicking over electricity." Elaine responded with another laughing face. Then she wrote, "I'm glad you went." I almost typed, "Marcia says you quit the chorus." Instead, I asked, "How are you?" The dots appeared. They vanished. Then they appeared again. "I'm okay." I let the silence stay where she put it. An hour later, while I was reheating roast, one more message arrived. "You really aren't going to call. I read it several times. You asked me not to." Her answer came quickly. "I know. I waited for more, but that was all." The next morning, Natalie called twice. I didn't answer. The third call came while I was brushing my teeth. I let it ring, rinsed my mouth, and checked the screen. Natalie had left a voicemail. "Dad, the cabinet door under my sink came off. I know this isn't important compared to everything else, but Mom keeps trying to fix it with a butter knife, and I don't want her using a power tool. Call me." I played it again. Elaine had once assembled an entire bookcase with the screwdriver attachment on a corkscrew because I was out of town, and she refused to wait. It leaned slightly to the left for 15 years, but it held books. I called Natalie. She answered with, "You could have picked up. You could buy a screwdriver." "I have a screwdriver." "Then why is your mother using a butter knife?" She says, "Mine is the wrong size." "Is it?" "Yes." I sat on the edge of the bed. "Describe the hinge." "I don't know how to describe a hinge. Is it inside the cabinet or outside?" "Inside." "Does it have a round piece that fits into a hole in the door?" There was movement, then Natalie said, "Yes. European hinge. It's in Ohio." "That's the type, not the location." "I knew that." "No, you didn't." "Can we not?" I heard Elaine laugh in the background. Not much, just one surprise burst before she tried to swallow it. I smiled. "Take a picture," I said. Natalie sent 3. The first showed half the sink. The second showed her thumb. The third showed the hinge clearly enough for me to see that the screws had pulled out of the particle board. "You can't just put the screws back," I said. "Why?" "The holes are stripped." "Can I use bigger screws?" "You'll come through the front." "What do I do?" I almost said I'd drive over. The sentence got as far as my chest and stopped there. "You need wood glue and 2 toothpicks." "Seriously?" "Yes." "That sounds fake." "It isn't." "You want me to repair a cabinet with toothpicks. I want you to fill the damaged holes, dip the toothpicks in glue, push them in, break them flush, let it dry, and then put the screws back." "How long does that take?" "Let the glue set a few hours. She needs the cabinet now." "For what?" Elaine's voice came from farther away. "I don't need the cabinet now." Natalie covered the phone poorly. "You keep opening it and the door falls on you." It fell once, twice. I waited without asking to speak to Elaine. Natalie returned. "What kind of glue?" "Wood glue. I have super glue." "That's not wood glue. It glues things." "So does frosting under the right conditions." Elaine laughed again. Natalie sighed. "Fine. I'll go buy wood glue. I can leave some on the porch." "No. We can buy glue." "All right." She sounded offended that I had agreed. Before hanging up, she said, "Mom's fine. I didn't ask. I know." After the call, I dressed and went downstairs. My phone buzzed while I was pouring coffee. Elaine had written, "Thank you for helping her." I replied, "She called me. That's why I'm thanking you." I thought about asking whether the toothpick repair worked. I thought about asking whether Elaine had laughed because I was funny, or because Natalie had said something after moving the phone away. Instead, I wrote, You're welcome. At 10, I sent another message. Why did you quit the chorus? The reply did not come until afternoon. Marcia told you. She said they miss you. You never asked me what we were singing when I was going. That was true. I wrote, I'm asking now. Because you found out from someone else. Because I didn't know there was something to ask. That's the whole problem. I carried the phone around the kitchen, composing answers that sounded better in my head than they looked on the screen. Finally, I wrote, You're right. I paid attention to your schedule without paying attention to your life. The dots appeared almost immediately. Please don't say things like that just because I left. I stared at her message. I'm not sure when I'm allowed to say them. You could have said them before. I know. That ended the conversation. Frank called that evening and invited me to dinner at his house. I said no. He called again 5 minutes later. What changed? I asked. My wife told me to call back and say she made lasagna. I don't want to discuss my marriage. I don't want to discuss your marriage either. Sheila will, probably. That's not persuasive. There's garlic bread. I went. Frank and Sheila lived in a ranch house crowded with furniture too large for the rooms. Sheila collected ceramic birds, decorative baskets, and information about other people. She hugged me at the door as though I'd survived a boating accident. I heard, she whispered. I assumed. Frank took my coat. He doesn't want to talk about it. I'm not asking questions, Sheila said. She asked the first one before I sat down. Is Elaine eating? I don't know. She loses weight when she's upset. She's staying with Natalie. I know. Natalie told my niece. I looked at Frank. How many people know? He opened a bottle of wine. If Sheila knows, the postal service will be informed by morning. People care, Sheila said. People enjoy developments. Both can be true. Dinner was lasagna, salad, and garlic bread, with enough butter to make a cardiologist leave the room. I sat across from Frank and beside an empty chair. Sheila usually seated Elaine there. She had set 4 places before remembering. She didn't remove the extra plate. I wish she had. We haven't seen you two since our anniversary cookout, Sheila said. Frank pointed his fork at her. That sounds like a question. It's a statement. We were busy, I said. With what? Apparently not talking. Frank choked on his wine. Sheila reached over and touched my arm. I'm sorry. Don't be. It was almost a joke. Elaine said you didn't like going out anymore. I don't like cookouts. You don't like smoke blowing in your face while Frank tells the same story about meeting Willie Nelson. I did meet Willie Nelson. You stood behind him at a gas station, Sheila said. He turned around. That isn't meeting. I smiled, but the question stayed with me. How many times did you invite us? I asked. To what? Anything. Sheila looked at Frank. Recently, she asked. Over the last year. A few. Did Elaine say no? Usually. What did she tell you? That you were tired, or your knee hurt, or you had something going on around the house? My knee is fine. We thought maybe you didn't want company. I had said I was tired often enough. I had declined enough invitations that Elaine had apparently begun declining without asking. I pictured her receiving a message from Sheila, looking at me in my recliner with the television on, and typing no for both of us. Why didn't you invite me directly? I asked Frank. He shrugged. Elaine handled the calendar. We don't have a calendar. Every married couple has a calendar. Sometimes it's a person. After dinner, Sheila brought out cards. I almost left. Instead, I stayed and lost $6 playing gin rummy. Frank cheated badly. Sheila cheated well. For 90 minutes, no one asked whether Elaine was coming home. When I left, Frank walked me to my truck. Come back next week, he said. Why? Sheila likes feeding abandoned men? I'm not abandoned. All right, I'm not. Then come because I like taking your money. I drove home through streets that looked unfamiliar at night. Elaine and I used to take evening drives without a destination. At some point, we stopped. I couldn't remember which one of us stopped asking first. Natalie's cabinet door appeared in the family group chat the next morning. Marcus had added me back without comment. The photograph showed the door hanging straight. Natalie's caption read, "Fixed it myself." I wrote, "Toothpicks did some work." She replied, "This is why nobody can give you a compliment." Marcus sent a picture of a bag of popcorn. Elaine reacted to that with a laughing face. I left the chat open. Later, I sat at the kitchen table and wrote Natalie a message. Not about the cabinet. I'm sorry I made you feel responsible for protecting your mother from me. I know I shut down when emotions made me uncomfortable, and that left both of you doing work I should have shared. I'm also sorry for the times you brought me pain, and I treated it like a repair job. I understand why you don't trust me to respond differently now. I stopped there. It looked like surrender, which made me wonder if my problem was that I treated every admission as territory lost. I continued, but your mother and I have to speak for ourselves. You don't get to answer her phone, decide what I'm allowed to hear, or treat me with contempt because she is hurt. I am your father. I love you. I will listen to anything about your relationship with me. I won't argue my marriage with you. I sent it before I could revise the life out of it. Natalie read it in under a minute. She did not respond. Elaine called that night from her own phone. Hi, she said. Hi, Natalie showed me your message. That was for her. She shares things with me, so I've noticed. A pause opened. I let it. She cried, Elaine said. I'm sorry. She's angry. She can be both. Yes. I heard a door close on her end. Are you alone? I asked. I'm in the guest room. It was the first time I knew exactly where she was when we spoke. I pictured Natalie's spare room with the iron bed and the white dresser I had helped carry up 2 flights of stairs after the divorce. Is the bed comfortable? Not really. I could bring the foam pad from our camping stuff. She laughed softly. You lasted almost a full minute. I heard it as soon as I said it. Progress. I won't bring anything. Thank you. We were quiet again. Then Elaine said, I didn't quit the chorus because of you. I didn't think you did. Yes, you did. Maybe partly. I quit because I stood there one night and realized I didn't care if anyone heard me. I didn't know what to say. For once, I didn't replace not knowing with something useful. After a while, she whispered, Are you still there? Yes. You got quiet. I'm listening. Her breath caught in a way so small I almost missed it. Then Natalie knocked on the guest room door. Mom? Elaine lowered her voice. I should go. You don't have to. I know. The door opened anyway. Natalie said, Who are you talking to? Elaine didn't answer her. The line stayed connected for 3 more seconds. Then it went dead. I did not call back. Every part of me wanted to. The old version of me would have called until someone answered, then defended the calls as concern. The newer version stood in the dark kitchen with the phone in his hand and had no idea what to do with concern if he couldn't turn it into motion. Elaine texted 12 minutes later. I'm sorry. I wrote, Don't apologize for calling me. She replied, I meant for how it ended, I know. Natalie knocked without waiting. The dots appeared, then vanished. I set the phone down. At 9 the next morning, Natalie sent me a message. Please don't use private calls to make Mom feel responsible for your emotions. I responded, Your mother called me. That doesn't mean you should keep her on the phone when she's vulnerable. We talked for 6 minutes. She cried after. I stared at that sentence. Did she tell you why? I know why. That wasn't what I asked. The typing indicator appeared immediately. You don't get to interrogate me. Then don't bring me information you won't let me understand. Her answer took longer. This is what emotional manipulation looks like. You act calm until the other person feels irrational. Then you make them prove their feelings to your satisfaction. I put the phone down and walked away. At the repair cafe, Frank handed me a blender that smelled like burned rubber. Woman says it made a noise and stopped. That's how most things stop. She wants to know if it's worth fixing. I removed the bottom plate. It's 15 years old. So a new one costs $30. Can you fix it? Yes. Then fix it. That isn't what she asked. Frank looked impressed. Listen to you. Go away. The blender needed a drive coupling. We didn't have the right size, so I explained the problem to its owner and showed her where to order the part. She said, Can't you just make it work today? No. Her disappointment irritated me, though I tried not to show it. But you said you know what's wrong. Knowing doesn't create a part. You have all those little pieces, the wrong pieces. She frowned at the open blender like it had betrayed both of us. I heard myself say, I'm sorry. The words came out stiff. The woman looked up. It was my mother's. That changed nothing about the coupling. It changed the conversation. I sat down again and looked through the bins until I found a rubber sleeve close enough in diameter to make a temporary adapter. I told her it might last a week or a year and that she shouldn't run the motor if she smelled burning. She thanked me twice. After she left, Lewis, the retired accountant who repaired clocks, said, You know she's probably going to make one smoothie and put that thing back in a cabinet. Then why bring it? Maybe she wanted to know somebody else thought it was worth saving. That's not what she asked. Lewis adjusted his magnifying glasses. People almost never ask exactly what they mean. That seems inefficient. You must have had an interesting marriage. Still have. Good correction. He went back to the clock in front of him. I watched his hands fit a small brass gear into place. How do you know when something's worth fixing? I asked. Lewis didn't look up. I asked the person who owns it. I almost told him that was too simple. Instead, I returned to the next item on my table, a radio whose owner wanted it to receive baseball games in a concrete basement. Marcus was waiting in my driveway when I got home. He sat on the hood of his car with his arms folded. You know that, Densett, I said. It's my car. You'll care when you try to sell it. I'm keeping it forever, just to avoid giving you the satisfaction. He climbed down. Why are you here? Nat called me. Of course she did. She said you upset Mom. I listened to your mother. Terrible. I thought so. Marcus followed me into the garage. I put my tools on the workbench while he examined the dining chair I'd already repaired and carried back twice. Why is this out here? I thought one leg looked uneven. Does it wobble? No. Then leave it alone. I'm inspecting it. You're hiding from a chair inside your own garage. I turned to him. Did Natalie send you here? No. Did your mother? No. Then why are you here? He leaned against the workbench. Nat's answering my calls too. I waited. I called Mom yesterday afternoon, he said. Nat picked up and said Mom was sleeping. Maybe she was. She wasn't. I could hear her asking who it was. What did you do? I said I'd call back. Did you? Yeah. Nat answered again. I moved the chair off the workbench and set it on the floor. Did you ask why? She said Mom gets upset after talking to us. Us? You, mostly. Thank you. But she said Mom needs quiet. Your mother is capable of turning off her own phone. That's what I said. I looked at him. What did Natalie say? That I was minimizing Mom's emotional condition. Condition? Her word. Marcus ran his thumb over a scratch in the workbench. Mom isn't sick, he said. No, she's hurt. Yes. There's a difference. There is. His eyes lifted to mine. You agree? Your sister thinks the entire family should revolve around your mother's pain. Your mother spent 34 years revolving around everyone else's. I can understand how both things happened without liking either one. Marcus considered that. Nat says you never let Mom be weak. I probably didn't. She says that's why Mom needs her. That may be true too. He frowned, disappointed that I wasn't defending myself. You know what drives me crazy? He said. You admit stuff like it has no emotional weight, like you're reading damage from an inspection report. I don't know what you want me to do. Feel bad. I feel terrible. You don't look terrible. What does terrible look like? I don't know. Less organized? I laughed once. Marcus didn't. I'm serious, Dad. So am I. He watched me for a moment. Were your hands really shaking at the hospital? Yes. I don't remember you ever being scared. That was the idea. Why? I pulled the chair closer and sat down. My father believed fear spread. If he was scared, everybody in the house knew. He slammed doors, checked locks, shouted about money. I decided I wouldn't do that. So, you did nothing. I handled whatever needed handling. That's not nothing. No. But Mom didn't know. No. Marcus found an old paint can and sat across from me. What were you scared of? At the hospital? Yeah, your grandmother dying, your mother falling apart, saying something that made it worse. Mom told me you went to move the car. I did. You didn't tell her your hands were shaking? No. Why not afterward? I was embarrassed. He looked genuinely surprised. You? Don't sound so pleased. I've never heard you say you were embarrassed. I've been embarrassed most of my life. I just prefer privacy. Marcus smiled, then looked down at his hands. I think Mom would have wanted to know. I know that now. You should tell her. Maybe. Why maybe? Because I don't want every apology to become an argument for why she should come home. He nodded slowly. That was the first conversation Marcus and I had ever had about fear. It ended because he noticed a jar of bent screws and decided my sorting system made no sense. We argued for 20 minutes about whether screws should be organized by size or type. It felt good. The calendar alert appeared on my phone the following Tuesday. Anniversary next Thursday. I had created the reminder years earlier after nearly forgetting our 22nd. It repeated annually, warning me 10 days in advance. Normally, the reminder sent me into a familiar sequence: card, flowers, dinner reservation, and a present. Elaine insisted she didn't need but was hurt if I failed to choose carefully. I read the alert in the grocery store parking lot. 34 years. The number felt too large to fit inside a phone screen. I went into the store and stood in front of the anniversary cards. Most were jokes about snoring, losing arguments, and pretending to listen. One said marriage was a journey taken hand in hand. Another said love grew deeper every year. I picked up a blank card with 2 blue birds on the front. Then I put it back. For 10 days, I carried the anniversary around without mentioning it. I went to the repair cafe. I lost more money to Frank and Sheila. I accepted an invitation from Marcus to watch a game at his apartment, though he spent half of it checking scores on his phone. Elaine and I exchanged practical messages. She asked if her dental reminder had arrived before the mail I packed. I told her it had been in the tote. She found it. She sent a picture of Natalie's cabinet door still hanging straight. Neither of us mentioned Thursday. On Thursday morning, I woke before 5. The other side of the bed remained smooth. I made 1 cup of coffee, showered, and put on the blue shirt Elaine liked. At noon, I changed out of it because wearing it felt like another offering left on a brick ledge. No card came, no message, no call. I sent nothing. At 6, Frank texted, "Cards tonight. Bring cash." I went. I stayed until 10:30, lost $9, and listened to Sheila accuse Frank of hiding aces under his thigh. When I got home, the answering machine showed no messages. My phone showed none either. At 11:58, I stood in the kitchen staring at Elaine's empty chair. At midnight, our anniversary became yesterday. Natalie called at 12:07. "You didn't even contact her." Her voice was low and furious. "Hello to you too. Mom waited all day. She has my number. She thought you'd send flowers. She asked me not to turn what I want into caring gestures. Oh my God, Dad. She wanted to know you'd fight for her. She left and asked for space. You're hiding behind her words. I'm respecting them. No. You're punishing her for saying them." The accusation landed because part of me had wanted Elaine to feel the silence she requested. I didn't know how large that part was. I sat down. "Did she ask you to call me?" "She's asleep." "Then why are you calling?" "Because somebody has to tell you what you did." "No, Natalie." "What?" "Your mother chose not to contact me on our anniversary. I chose not to contact her." "You don't get to turn her silence into my crime. You always need to be technically innocent. This isn't innocence. It's a boundary. Enjoy being right." "I don't." That stopped her for half a second. Then she hung up. My phone rang again immediately. Elaine's name appeared on the screen. I answered, but nobody spoke. All I could hear was Natalie crying. "Elaine?" The crying stopped abruptly, as if someone had closed a door. Then Elaine said, "I didn't know she called you." Her voice was close to the phone. Natalie's was farther away. "I'm sorry," Elaine said. "You don't need to apologize for her. I'm apologizing for my phone. Why does she have it?" "I left it on the counter," Natalie said. "I was trying to help." Elaine lowered the phone. "Calling him after midnight isn't helping. He needed to know. I said I didn't want you to call. You were crying. That didn't make it your decision." I heard footsteps, a drawer closing, then silence. "Is she gone?" I asked. She went to her room. Elaine sounded exhausted. "Why were you crying?" "Daniel, it's not an interrogation. It sounds like one. I'm trying to decide whether to ask." "You already asked. I can stop." She breathed into the phone. "No," she said. "Don't stop." I waited. "I thought you'd call," she said. "So did I." "You thought I'd call?" "Yes." "You told me you wouldn't." "I said I'd let you contact me when you were ready." "I thought today might be different." "So did I." "That leaves us in a stupid place." She laughed, but it broke in the middle. "I kept expecting flowers," she admitted. "I almost bought a card." "What kind?" "Blank." 2 blue birds." "Why didn't you?" "I didn't know if it would be kind or pressure." "Since when do you worry that much about a card?" "Since coffee became an escalation." That was Natalie's word. "I know. I didn't ask her to say that. You let her. I know." It was the first time Elaine had admitted that, without wrapping it in an explanation. I leaned back in the kitchen chair. Did you want me to fight for you? I asked. I wanted to feel chosen. You left me. I know how it looks. How else should it look? Like I was asking whether you'd noticed the difference between me being in your life and me being out of it. I noticed. You adjusted very quickly. I made a roast so bad, Marcus brought emergency bread. That's not what I mean. I know. She went quiet. I looked at the clock over the stove. 12:24. We had been married 34 years and 14 minutes longer than either of us had acknowledged. I did use the silence a little, I said. What? To hurt you. The admission felt ugly as soon as it was spoken. I told myself I was respecting your space. Mostly I was. But yesterday, part of me wanted you to wonder why I wasn't calling. Elaine didn't answer. I'm sorry, I said. That's one of the most honest things you've said to me. I don't think I like honesty. It's badly marketed. I wasn't trying to punish you the whole time. I believe you. I went to Frank and Sheila's. I know. Of course you know. Sheila called me. When? This afternoon. What did she say? That you lost $9 and argued about whether a wild card counts if it falls on the floor. Frank hid it under his shoe. I told her he probably did. Hearing Elaine defend me in a card dispute almost undid me. Come home, I said. The silence changed. I knew immediately I'd moved too fast. I can't or don't want to. Please don't. All right, this is what happens. We have one decent conversation and you want to skip to the solution. I want my wife home. I know, I'll stop. Thank you. Another silence settled between us. This one felt less empty. Can we meet? Elaine asked. When? Saturday morning. Somewhere that isn't the house or Natalie's. There's the diner on Westfield. The one with the sticky menus. They replaced them. When? I don't know. Recently? You've been going without me? Once. She laughed again, more steadily this time. 10 o'clock, she said. I'll be there. Don't bring anything. I won't. No coffee waiting for me. They serve coffee there. You know what I mean? I do. We said goodnight. Neither of us mentioned that it was already morning. I arrived at the diner at 9:38. I sat in my truck until 9:55, so Elaine wouldn't think I had been waiting. At 9:56, I went inside and found her already seated in a booth near the back. You're early, she said. So are you. I got here at 9:40. I was in the parking lot. For how long? Long enough for both of us to regret asking. The corner of her mouth lifted. She wore a white blouse under the green cardigan and small gold hoops instead of the silver pair I had found. Her wedding ring remained on her hand. I tried not to look at it. The waitress brought 2 menus. They're still sticky, Elaine said. I said they replaced them. I didn't say they improved them. We ordered. Elaine chose oatmeal with blueberries. I ordered eggs, bacon, toast, and potatoes. You'll complain about the potatoes, she said. I haven't seen them. You'll say they're undercooked. I'm open to being surprised. You're never open to being surprised before 10:30. The ordinary conversation felt fragile, like carrying a full glass across a moving floor. Then Elaine set down her spoon. Natalie didn't want me to come, I assumed. She thinks you'll say what I need to hear, and I'll go home before anything changes. Do you think that? I think you can be very convincing when you have a goal. I didn't know I was convincing. You convinced me our bedroom should be gray. We're back to paint. It's a useful paint. I let that pass. She's worried about me, Elaine said. She's controlling access to you. Both can be true. It sounded like something Sheila would say. Maybe people had been conspiring to give me that sentence all week. Does she answer all your calls? I asked. No, mine and Marcus's, mostly yours. That helps. She sees how upset I get afterward. You were laughing during the cabinet call. I was. Were you upset afterward? Yes. Why? Because it was easy for 6 minutes. Then I remembered why it shouldn't be easy. I watched her stir blueberries into oatmeal until the whole bowl turned purple. Who told you it shouldn't be? I asked. Her eyes lifted. That sounded like an accusation. It was a question. It was both. Fair. The food arrived. My potatoes were undercooked. I didn't mention it. Elaine noticed. You hate them? She said. They're fine. Dangerous word. I'm trying not to win. She smiled and took one from my plate. It's raw. Thank you. I pushed the plate toward her. She pushed it back. Why did you stop the chorus? I asked. Her smile disappeared, but she didn't shut down. At first, because I was tired. Of singing, of caring whether you came. I looked at my eggs. You came often enough that I couldn't call you unsupportive, she continued, but not enough that I felt you wanted to be there. I did want to be there. You checked your watch. The chairs hurt my knee. Your knee is fine. It wasn't then. You see? Even now. I forced myself not to explain the knee. I'm sorry. She shook her head. I don't need you to agree with every complaint. I don't know where the line is between accountability and defense. Neither do I. That surprised me. I went every Wednesday after I quit, she said. I'd sit at the coffee shop or walk around the bookstore. Sometimes I stayed in the Arts Center parking lot until rehearsal ended. Why didn't you tell me? Because then you would have asked what I was going to do instead. I probably would have, and I didn't know. I wanted not knowing to be allowed. You could have stayed home. You would have noticed. I didn't notice you quit. That's different. How? If I stayed home, you would notice a change in the schedule. You didn't notice a change in me. There wasn't any clever response to that. I took a drink of coffee. Were you afraid at the hospital? Elaine asked. Marcus had told her. Yes. Why didn't you tell me? I thought my fear would make yours worse. You walked away while my mother was in surgery. I went to the garage. I know where you went. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. Her face tightened. I thought you didn't care, she said. I cared too much to know what to do. You always knew what to do. No. I always found something to do. It isn't the same. Elaine looked down. I needed you to be scared with me. I know that now. You say that like it's information. I set down my cup. What should it sound like? I don't know. Marcus said the same thing. About what? Feeling bad. Apparently I'm doing it incorrectly. A laugh escaped her before she could stop it. Then her eyes filled. I reached across the table. She moved her hands into her lap, not sharply, but clearly enough. I pulled mine back. I'm not ready, she said. All right. Natalie thinks I'll come back because I feel sorry for you. Do you? Feel sorry for you? Yes. Sometimes. That's not a good reason to come back. I know. Do you want to? Her gaze moved to the window. I miss home. That isn't what I asked. I miss you too. Hope rose so quickly it made me dizzy. But missing you isn't the same as trusting us, she said. The hope stayed, but it changed shape. We paid separately, Elaine insisted. Outside, I expected her to leave immediately. Instead, she stood beside my truck with her arms folded against a breeze that wasn't cold. Thank you for coming, she said. I would have gone anywhere. That's the kind of thing you shouldn't say right now. It's true, I know. She stepped forward as if she might hug me, then changed her mind and touched my arm. I didn't move. Her hand stayed there for 3 seconds. Then she walked to her car. Natalie called before I left the parking lot. I let it ring. She sent a message. Did you ask her to come home? I didn't answer. Another message appeared. She came back crying. I wrote, ask her why. I did. Then listened to her answer. Natalie did not respond. The family chat remained quiet for the rest of the weekend. Marcus invited me to watch another game. Frank gave me a clock from the repair cafe that gained 11 minutes an hour and claimed it suited my personality. Elaine and I didn't speak. On Monday evening, I came home to a dark house, heated soup, and watched half an episode of the detective show she hated. At 8:40, my phone rang. Elaine, I answered. She's out with friends, Elaine said without saying hello. She won't be back for a while. I muted the television. Okay, I don't want to spend the whole night talking about what went wrong. We don't have to. I don't know what I want to talk about. That's allowed. She was quiet. Then she said, stay on the phone anyway. I stayed. For the first minute, neither of us spoke. I could hear a faucet running at Natalie's apartment and the faint scrape of a spoon against ceramic. What are you doing? I asked. Making tea. What kind? The lemon one Natalie buys. You hate lemon tea. I don't hate it. You said it tastes like furniture polish. I said your lemon cleaner smells like tea. That's not better, she laughed quietly. I leaned back in my chair. The detective on television continued accusing people without sound. I turned the screen off. What did you have for dinner? Elaine asked. Soup. From a can? Yes. What kind? Chicken noodle. Did you put crackers in it? No. Why not? I ran out of garlic crackers. You ran out? I had an incident. She knew exactly what that meant. In bed? Over the sink. You call that an incident? There were crumbs. Daniel Mercer voluntarily standing over a sink to prevent crumbs might qualify as a spiritual event. I smiled into the phone. What did you eat? I asked. Salad. That's not dinner. There was chicken in it. That's dinner. We fell quiet again. Ordinary conversation had become something we approached like deer at the edge of a clearing. One wrong movement, and it disappeared. Natalie hates when I put dishes in the left side of the sink, Elaine said. Why? She says the garbage disposal is on the right. It is. I'm aware. That seems reasonable. Don't take her side. I didn't know there were sides in sink placement. There are sides in everything over here. Her tone made me sit straighter. Is she treating you badly? No. The answer came quickly. She's wonderful, Elaine continued. She makes coffee before I wake up. She bought the tea. She clears a drawer for me every time I bring more clothes, even though there are no more drawers. That sounds crowded. It is. You can come home, Daniel. I know. I'm not supposed to solve. You're not. I'm also not supposed to pretend our house doesn't have drawers, she breathed out, almost laughing. I could go somewhere else, she said. Where? A hotel. That sounds expensive. Thank you. Sorry, I could stay with Marcia. Do you want to? No, then don't. That sounded like permission. It was meant as a response. You hear it now, don't you? Everything I say sounds different after you point at it. Imagine living inside that. I got up and carried my bowl to the sink. Why did you go to Natalie's? I asked. She needed me, or you needed her. Both. At least that's honest. Don't grade my honesty. Sorry, you apologize so quickly now. It's unnerving. I'm trying, I know. I ran water over the bowl. What does she need you for? I asked. Everything and nothing. She wants someone there when she gets home. She wants to talk through what Ryan said 6 months ago as if she can find one sentence that explains all of it. She wants my opinion on furniture, clothes, whether she should cut her hair. Then, if I give an opinion she doesn't like, she tells me I'm projecting. That sounds exhausting. She's hurting. I didn't say she wasn't. She was abandoned. Ryan left a marriage he said had been unhappy for years. You always say it that way. How should I say it? He walked out a week before Christmas. Both things are true. Yes. Elaine tapped her spoon against the mug. She says I'm the only person who makes her feel safe. There was pride in her voice. Also something heavier. Do you like that? I asked. What kind of question is that? A real one. She didn't answer. You spent years saying I didn't need you enough, I said. Maybe it feels good to be needed too much. That sounds like something Natalie would say. Does that make it wrong? No. The word was barely audible. I dried the bowl and put it away. She checks on me all the time, Elaine said. If I take a nap, she asks whether I'm depressed. If I don't finish dinner, she asks if I'm anxious. Yesterday I said I wanted to walk to the bookstore alone, and she offered to drive me. She worries, I know. You're allowed to be annoyed by someone who loves you. You never seem to be, I laughed. I was annoyed by all of you constantly. You hid it well. I complained about the thermostat every winter. That was weather, not emotion. It felt emotional to me. She laughed again, but the laugh faded. I don't know how to tell her I need space without making it sound like I'm choosing you. That's interesting. Don't sound pleased. I'm not. You are a little. I'm pleased you're noticing the difference between help and control. The sentence was out before I could stop it. Elaine went silent. That was cheap, I said. Yes, I'm sorry. You're not entirely wrong. That doesn't make it less cheap. No. I returned to the table and sat. When did we start using Natalie this way? I asked. Using her? You told her what you couldn't tell me. She told me what you wouldn't say. I argued with her because I couldn't reach you. She became the most important person in our marriage. I needed someone. I know. Marcia didn't know the whole history. Sheila loves you. Marcus shuts down when the conversations get uncomfortable. He comes by that honestly. Natalie listened. And then? Elaine took a long breath. And then she started remembering her childhood differently. How differently? She says you made the whole house tense. I rarely raise my voice. She says that was part of it. She never knew when you were angry because you got quieter. That's fair. She says I spent my life trying to keep everyone comfortable. That's fair too. She says you trained me to do it. That part isn't fair. I know. The words caught me by surprise. You know? I made choices, Daniel. I said fine when things weren't fine. I told you not to worry when I wanted you to worry. I wanted you to read a room I kept cleaning up before you entered it. Why didn't you say that at the diner? I didn't know it then. Did Natalie tell you? No. She sounded irritated, which reassured me. I've had 2 days to think, she said. You aren't the only one allowed to have realizations. I didn't say I was, I know. That was me hearing you before you spoke. We let that sit between us. Do you miss me? She asked. Yes. What do you miss? It was the kind of question I would once have answered with everything, believing the size of the word proved the size of the feeling. The sound you make when you find something you lost, I said. What sound? You say, there you are, like the object came home by itself. I do not. You do. What else? The radio in the kitchen, your cold feet on my legs. You correcting game show hosts when they can't hear you. They can hear spiritually. I miss you asking if I locked the back door after watching me lock it. You forget. I've never forgotten. You forgot in 2018. I was waiting for that, she laughed. What don't you miss? She asked. That feels dangerous. Answer. I don't miss guessing whether you're angry while you insist you're fine. I don't miss having every decision approved and then used against me 6 months later. I don't miss being responsible for what you didn't ask for. The silence went so complete, I checked the screen to see if the call had ended. Elaine, I'm here. I'm not saying those things are equal. I know, I'm not keeping score. Maybe we both were. I rubbed my thumb along the edge of the table. What do you miss? I asked. You making coffee before I ask. Your hand on my back in crowded places. The way you pretend not to know the answers on quiz shows so I can say them first. I don't pretend. Daniel, sometimes, I miss feeling like if something went wrong, you would be there before I finished explaining. What don't you miss? She was quiet, feeling like something had to go wrong before I could have your full attention. That one hurt because I could see it. You have it now, I said, because I left. Yes, doesn't that scare you? Everything scares me lately, her voice softened. You sound different. I am different. It's been a few weeks. I didn't say I was finished. What if I come home and you become the same person? What if you come home and become the same person? She drew in a breath. I continued before I lost the nerve. I love you. I want to be married to you. But I don't want you to come back because Natalie is wearing you out or because you feel sorry for me. And I don't want the marriage we had. You don't? No. The word frightened me too. I want one where you tell me before the suitcase. Where I'm allowed to be afraid without turning it into a tire pressure reading, where our daughter isn't the emergency contact for every feeling we avoid. Elaine did not speak. You asked whether I'd take you back, I said. The answer is yes. But not like nothing happened. I didn't ask that. You were going to. How do you know? I know you. Do you? Some of you. A door opened on her end. Elaine whispered, She's back. I heard keys land on a counter. Mom? Elaine lowered her voice. I'm in here. Footsteps approached. You can call me tomorrow, I said. No. The guest room door opened. Natalie said, Who are you talking to? Elaine didn't answer. Mom, I'm talking to your father. You said you weren't going to make any decisions tonight. I'm not making a decision. You've been on the phone for an hour, I know. Natalie's voice moved closer. Give me the phone. No. The answer was firm enough that I stood without realizing it. Elaine, I said. You don't have to, Natalie interrupted. This is exactly what he does. What am I doing? I asked. You make her feel guilty. You say all the right things, and then she has to take care of you. Natalie, stop, Elaine said. You were fine when I left. I wasn't fine. Yes, you were. The sentence hung there. Elaine said very softly, You don't get to tell me that. For a second, nobody spoke. Then I heard movement, fabric scraping, the phone striking something hard. Natalie's voice came directly into my ear. She needs to sleep. Put her back on. No, it's her phone. I'm done watching you pull her apart. You walked into a private conversation. In my apartment. Her conversation. She came here because of you. No, Elaine said in the background. I came because of me. Put her back on, I repeated. Natalie's breathing was fast. You don't care what this is doing to her. I care enough to let her speak. You always make yourself sound reasonable, and you always make yourself sound necessary. The line went dead. I did not drive to the apartment. I walked once around the house, then again. I stood in the bedroom and looked at the empty section of closet. I went into the garage and sat on the dining chair, which still did not wobble. My phone buzzed repeatedly on the workbench. Natalie. You had no right to undermine me in my own home. You've manipulated her into thinking I'm controlling. She was finally getting stronger. I typed, Your mother said no. You took her phone anyway. A reply appeared. I was protecting her. From speaking, from you. I wrote, I won't discuss this with you. She answered, then don't contact me. A moment later, my next message failed to deliver. She had blocked me. I sat there until the garage light turned itself off. In the dark, the phone rang. Elaine's name appeared again. This time, when I answered, no one else was in the room with her. I heard what you said, she whispered. Which part? About not wanting our old marriage. I waited. I don't want it either, she said. Then she began to cry. I turned the garage light back on and sat down. Elaine tried to speak twice before any words came. She thinks I betrayed her. By talking to me? By telling her no. I held the phone against my ear and listened to her breathing. What happened after she hung up? She asked whether I was going home with you. I'm at home. That isn't what she meant. What did you say? I said I didn't know. That's honest. She said, after everything she's done for me, I was letting you make her the bad guy. Did I? No. The word came out sharp. She said you manipulated me into thinking she was controlling. I told her I already thought she was controlling. That didn't go well. Despite everything, I almost smiled. I'm sorry. No, you're not. I'm sorry it hurt. That I believe. She wiped her nose. I heard the tissue crumple. She kept saying I was fine before she left, Elaine said. I wasn't fine. I was sitting in her guest room, afraid that if I called you, she'd be angry. How is that fine? It isn't. I went there for space. I know. I don't have any. The obvious sentence reached my tongue. Come home. I let it pass. What do you want to do? I asked. I don't know. That's allowed. For tonight, I want to sleep without anybody asking how I feel. Can you close the door? She'll knock. Can you lock it? She'll think I'm choosing you. Are you? No. The answer hurt, but it was clean. I'm choosing not to be managed by either of you, she said. That's fair. You sound disappointed. I am disappointed. Thank you for not pretending. I'm making progress everywhere tonight. She gave a damp laugh. I could stay with Marcia for a few days, she said. Do you want me to call her? No, sorry. Stop apologizing before I get a chance to be annoyed. I can wait, thank you. A moment passed. I'm going to call her myself, Elaine said. Okay, don't call Natalie. She blocked me. What? I told her I wouldn't discuss our marriage with her. She told me not to contact her and blocked me. Elaine exhaled slowly. I don't want this to destroy your relationship with her. Neither do I. She's still your daughter. I know who she is. That sounded cold. It wasn't meant to. Daniel, this is what I mean. You say something hard in a flat voice, then make everyone else decide whether it hurts. I almost defended my tone. Instead, I said, I'm scared I've already lost her, and if I say that out loud, I'll want you to fix it. Elaine went silent. I can't fix it, she said. I know, I'm sorry. So am I. She called Marcia while I waited on the other line. I heard only her side. A soft hello, an apology for the hour, then a small collapse in her voice when Marcia said yes before Elaine finished asking. I'm going there, she told me. Do you want me to stay on the phone while you drive? No. Would it help? It would. Then I'll stay. I listened as she packed. A zipper moved. Closet hangers scraped together. Once Natalie knocked. Mom, can we talk? Not tonight, Elaine answered. Are you leaving? Yes. To go where? Marcia's. The door handle moved. Elaine said, Please don't come in. You're running away because he upset you. No. I'm leaving because you took my phone out of my hand. I was trying to protect you. I told you no. There was a silence. Then Natalie said, So one mistake means I'm disposable. I closed my eyes. Elaine's voice softened automatically. No, honey. There it was. The reflex. Natalie hurt. Elaine rushed to erase the pain, even while holding a suitcase. I love you, Elaine continued. But I'm leaving tonight. Natalie didn't answer. A door slammed. I heard Elaine breathe for several seconds before she said, Are you still there? Yes. I almost stayed. I know. Part of me wants to go tell her she misunderstood. She understood. That sounds harsh. She understands you're leaving. She doesn't like it. That doesn't mean she understands why. You don't have to make her agree before you go. Elaine was quiet. Did you learn that at the repair cafe? She asked. No. Frank made me watch a video about boundaries because he misunderstood the word repair. She laughed. I stayed on the call until she reached Marcia's. When she said goodnight, I didn't ask when we would speak again. The next morning, Marcus arrived with 2 breakfast sandwiches and the expression of a man approaching an active gas leak. Mom left Nat's, he said. I know. How? She called me. Natalie says you talked her into it. I asked what she wanted, and she wanted to leave. He handed me a sandwich. Nat's losing it. Is she okay? She's angry. She says everyone's abandoning her. Everyone? Ryan, Mom, you blocked her? She blocked me. That detail has not survived retelling. We sat at the kitchen table. Marcus unwrapped his sandwich, then wrapped it again without taking a bite. She wants me to talk Mom into going back, he said. What did you say? I said no. Good. I don't feel good. You're not supposed to. He glanced at me. That's new. I've learned 3 things. What are the other 2? People care about useless clicks, and Frank cheats at cards. Marcus took a bite. Mom sounded different, he said. How? Embarrassed. About what? She said she let Natalie take over because it was easier than deciding things herself. I looked at the empty chair across from me. That sounds like your mother. Which part? The honest part? Marcus chewed, then said, She asked if I thought she should come home. What did you tell her? That I wasn't getting involved. You learned something too. I felt like an asshole. That's often how you know a boundary is working. Did Frank's video say that? I didn't watch it. You said he made you. I turned off the sound. Marcus smiled. Elaine stayed with Marcia for 4 nights. We spoke each evening, never more than 20 minutes. The calls were less dramatic than I expected. She complained that Marcia's guest towels were decorative and apparently not meant to touch skin. I described a coffee maker at the Repair Cafe that played the first 3 notes of a song whenever it finished brewing. Neither of us said, I love you until the 4th night. Elaine said it first. I said it back. Then she told me she had rented a furnished apartment for 2 months. The place was near the Arts Center, above a bakery that started work at 4 every morning. It had 1 bedroom, a brown couch, and a kitchen table small enough to make Sunday dinner impossible. You don't have to do that, I said. I know. You can come home without promising anything. I know. Then why? I need to find out what I choose when no one is close enough to answer for me. I wanted to argue that I had spent weeks learning not to answer for her. I wanted credit. Instead, I asked, Do you need help moving? Yes. The apartment was on the 2nd floor. Marcus carried the floral suitcase. I carried 2 boxes and the gray canvas tote. Elaine carried her purse and her own phone. Natalie didn't come. The furnished apartment looked like a place assembled from the leftovers of 3 nicer apartments. The couch was brown, the chair was green, and the curtains had orange circles that made me slightly dizzy. Elaine stood in the center of the living room. What do you think? She asked. It's colorful. You hate it. I wasn't asked whether I'd live here. You were asked what you think. I think the curtains are aggressive. She laughed. One end of a window blind hung lower than the other. I noticed it immediately. Elaine saw me looking. Say it, she said. The blind is crooked. Do you want to fix it? Yes. Ask me. I felt ridiculous. Would you like me to fix the blind? She looked at it. No. All right. Marcus walked in, carrying a box of dishes. What's wrong with the blind? Nothing, Elaine and I said together. We stayed for an hour. I connected nothing, tightened nothing, and rearranged nothing. Elaine asked me to put the boxes beside the kitchen counter. I put them there. When we were ready to leave, she followed us downstairs. Marcus hugged her. I waited. Elaine stepped toward me and put both arms around my waist. The hug lasted long enough for me to feel her heartbeat. When she pulled back, she said, I need to deal with Natalie. Do you want me involved? Yes. I did not expect that. She needs to hear from both of us, Elaine said. Not about whether we're getting back together, about what we did to her and what she's doing now. She won't listen to me. She might if I make her. That sounds controlling. I'm her mother. I'm allowed one final attempt. Marcus opened his car door. Do you want me there? He asked. Elaine shook her head. No. You've been dragged into enough. Thank you. Elaine looked at me. Will you come if she agrees? Yes. Natalie agreed 2 days later. She unblocked me but sent no greeting. Mom wants dinner here Sunday at 4. I don't think this is healthy, but I'll do it for her. I showed Elaine the message when she stopped by the house for more clothes. What do I say? I asked. Nothing. That was my instinct. I don't believe you. It's a recent instinct. Elaine took 2 sweaters from the closet. She left the blue blouse she'd almost packed before. At the front door, she touched the wall beside the light switch. I still hate the gray, she said. We can paint it. Her hand dropped. I corrected myself. If you ever want to, you can choose the color. Harbor Mist. You still remember? I still have the card. Where? In my purse. She had carried it all those years. On Sunday, I arrived at Natalie's apartment at 3:59. For the first time since Elaine left, Natalie's name wasn't on the glass door between us. Elaine opened it herself. She stepped aside without touching me. Hi, I said. You're exactly on time. I was early. I walked around the block. That explains the sweating. It's humid. It's 68 degrees. I wiped my forehead with my sleeve. Elaine smiled, but her eyes were tense. She wore jeans and the blue blouse she had left in our closet 2 days earlier. Her phone was in her hand. Where is she? In the kitchen. Does she know I'm here? She saw you walk around the block. Of course she did. Elaine led me inside. The cabinet door beneath the sink hung straight. Natalie had set the dining table for 3 with white plates, cloth napkins, and wine glasses. A rotisserie chicken sat in the center beside a bowl of salad and dinner rolls, still in their plastic bag. Natalie stood at the counter cutting a lemon. She looked at me once. Dad. Natalie. I made tea. I thought that was furniture polish. That's Mom. Elaine placed her phone on the table in front of her chair. Screen up. Close enough to reach, Natalie noticed. So did I. We sat down. Nobody touched the food. This doesn't have to be an ambush, Elaine said. Natalie folded her arms. It already feels like one. I asked both of you to come. You're staying at his house now? No. Did he drive you? No. Did he pick the restaurant for your next date? Elaine's face tightened. We're not discussing every conversation I have with your father? Then what are we discussing? The fact that you took my phone out of my hand after I told you no. Natalie looked at me. I said, don't look at me. I'm not allowed to look at you. You're looking to see what I do with what she said. I know what you're doing. You're enjoying this. Elaine put one palm on the table. He isn't the one saying it. I am. Natalie's attention returned to her mother. I was scared for you. I know. You were crying. Yes. He had you doubting everything. I was already doubting everything. You were getting stronger before he started calling. I called him, after he ignored you on your anniversary. I felt the old impulse to correct the word ignored. Elaine glanced at me. I said nothing. He was doing what I asked, she told Natalie. You said you waited for flowers. I did. Then he hurt you. Yes. Natalie leaned back as if the answer proved her case. Elaine continued. I hurt him too. He's fine. I'm sitting here, I said. You always look fine. That doesn't mean you get to decide. She gave a short laugh. Now you care about people deciding how someone else feels? Yes. When did that start? Recently. Convenient. No. Late. The room went quiet. Elaine reached for the salad bowl and spooned some onto her plate. Eat, she said. Neither of us moved. She pointed the serving spoon at me. Daniel, I took a roll. That isn't eating. It's food. She turned to Natalie. Please. Natalie cut a small piece from the chicken breast and placed it on her plate. We began a dinner nobody wanted, chewing around the reason we were there. The chicken was cold. I didn't mention it. Natalie did. It was hot 15 minutes ago. I'm sure it's fine, Elaine said. Don't say fine. Elaine looked at her daughter. Natalie's eyes filled immediately, which seemed to anger her. You both keep doing that, she said. Doing what? Elaine asked, using my words against me, acting like I'm some kind of monster because I tried to help. I don't think you're a monster, I said. No one asked you? I'm answering anyway. Of course you are. I think you were wrong. She pushed back from the table. Elaine said, Sit down. You brought him here to judge me. I brought him because you made yourself part of our marriage. You made me part of it. The sentence landed on Elaine, not me. Natalie saw that and leaned forward. You called me, she said. Every night. You told me he didn't see you. You told me about the concerts and the bedroom and Grandma's surgery. You said you had spent your whole marriage making excuses for him. I did say those things. You said talking to him was useless. I was angry. For 2 years? I looked at Elaine. 2 years? I asked. She lowered her eyes. Natalie continued. You said if you ever left, he wouldn't notice until dinner was late. That was cruel, Elaine said. It was true. No, I said, it wasn't. Natalie turned on me. How long did it take you to notice she quit the chorus? That isn't the same. It's exactly the same. No, it's evidence I stopped paying attention to the part of her life. It isn't evidence she could disappear from it. You always separate everything until nothing counts. Sometimes things are separate, not to the people living them. Elaine's fork struck her plate. Stop. We stopped. She looked at me first. I'm sorry I said that. Which part? That you wouldn't notice. That talking to you was useless. I should have said it to you if I believed it. You tried. Not enough. Neither did I. Natalie shook her head. This is unbelievable. Elaine turned to her. I made you my witness, she said. I told you the worst parts because those were the parts I needed to say out loud. I didn't call you when your father brought me coffee every morning for 30 years. I didn't call when he drove my mother to her appointments or sat up all night when Marcus's business failed. I didn't tell you how safe I felt beside him in a crowded room. I gave you every grievance and none of the tenderness. You didn't invent what he did. No. So now you're rewriting it because he learned how to apologize? No, you're defending him. I'm taking responsibility for what I did to you. I listened because you had nobody. I had people. I chose you. Because I understood. Because you agreed. Natalie stared at her. Elaine's voice softened. Those aren't always the same thing. Natalie stood and carried her plate to the sink. You want me to say, I'm sorry, she said without turning around. I want you to understand why you can't answer my phone anymore. Fine. Don't. Natalie gripped the edge of the counter. Do you want the truth? She asked. Yes. The first time you asked me to answer. I know. You were in the bathroom crying because he kept calling. He called once. He was going to keep calling. I asked for space. And I protected it. Yes. Natalie turned around. The second time, you were sitting right beside me. You heard everything. You could have taken the phone. I should have. But you didn't. No. So why am I the only one who did something wrong? You aren't. Her anger faltered. Elaine continued. I let you speak because it was easier. If Daniel got angry, I could tell myself he was angry at you. If he sounded hurt, I didn't have to answer. I made you carry words that belonged to me. Natalie looked from her mother to me. And now you're both united. We aren't united, Elaine said. I'm living alone. You're going back. I don't know. You always go back to him. I've never left before. You know what I mean. Elaine stood. No, she said. I don't. Tell me. Natalie's face folded in a way I had never seen. Everybody goes back to their real life. You are my real life, not the main one. Elaine moved toward her. Natalie held up one hand. Don't. Elaine stopped. Natalie wiped her cheeks with the heel of her palm. When Ryan left, I came home every night, and the apartment sounded wrong, she said. The refrigerator, the pipes, everything. I would wake up and reach for someone who had spent 2 years telling me he wasn't happy, and I still wanted him there. No one interrupted. You stayed, she told Elaine. You slept in that awful guest bed. You made coffee. You hated him with me when I couldn't hate him enough by myself. Then you said you needed space from Dad, and for the first time, I wasn't the only person whose marriage had failed. Elaine's mouth opened. Natalie looked at me. If she went back to you, then you two learned something. You changed. She forgave you, and I was still the one who couldn't save mine. Natalie, Elaine whispered, I know it doesn't make sense. It makes sense, I said. She turned on me immediately. Don't do that. Do what? Make this easier? I'm not. You sound sorry for me. I am. I don't want that from you. All right. She waited for me to add something. I didn't. The silence grew uncomfortable, then painful. I wanted to stand. I wanted to clear the plates, heat the chicken, fix the cabinet door that no longer needed fixing. I wanted to tell Natalie her divorce wasn't a verdict and that Ryan leaving did not make her unlovable. Those were things she already knew or wasn't ready to believe. So, I sat. After a while, Natalie returned to the table. She didn't sit. She held the back of her chair. Ryan said, I made every feeling into a trial, she said. He said if he was unhappy, I needed to know who caused it. If I was hurt, somebody had to be guilty. I looked at her, and she saw recognition in my face. Don't, she said. I didn't say anything. You were going to say that's what I did to you. Yes. At least you're honest. I also made facts into a trial. If I could prove I hadn't meant harm, I thought harm didn't count. Natalie pulled out her chair and sat. I still think you hurt her. I did. I still think she needed to leave. She did. I still don't trust you. I know. Her eyes narrowed. You're not going to argue? Not about whether you trust me? Why not? Because you don't. She looked away. I continued. But I'm not going to let you talk to me like I'm something your mother survived. I was a limited husband. I was not a cruel one. I failed to listen. I did not fail to love her. You don't get to decide how it felt. No. I get to decide what I will accept from you. Elaine watched both of us. I said, you answered her phone. You kept Marcus from speaking to her. You told her when she was fine, when she was vulnerable, and what conversations she could handle. That isn't protection after someone tells you no. I said I was trying to help. I believe you. Then why are you making me sound horrible? Intent doesn't erase damage. She flinched at hearing her own argument returned. I hated the part of me enjoyed it. I'm angry with you, I said. You don't sound angry? I'm working on that. Maybe you should yell. At least then everyone could stop pretending you're calm. I'm not calm. Then what are you? Terrified. Her face changed. I'm terrified your mother won't come back. I'm terrified I changed too late. I'm terrified I'll lose you because I won't apologize for being married to your mother. I didn't ask you to. You asked me to confess to a version of our family where every good thing was camouflage. Natalie looked down at her hands. I'm sorry for how I responded when Ryan left, I said. I came over and fixed your toilet because I didn't know how to ask whether you believed you'd ever be loved again. Her head came up. I sat with you for 2 days, but I made silence do all the talking. I thought being there was enough. It wasn't. You left on the second night. You said you wanted to be alone. I wanted you to stay. I know that now. No, you didn't. I never told you. Then I know it now. She pressed her lips together. I'm sorry, I said. Her voice dropped. For the toilet? For making you feel like pain had to become a task before I could touch it. Natalie covered her face. Elaine started to move. I shook my head. She stopped. Natalie cried with both hands over her eyes. Neither of us reached for her. It felt cruel for the first 10 seconds. Then it felt like respect. When she lowered her hands, her makeup had smeared beneath one eye. Do you hate me? She asked. No, you should. I don't. You're furious. Yes. How can both be true? The same way you can love somebody and answer her phone because you're afraid she'll leave. She looked at Elaine. I don't know how to do this differently. Neither do we, Elaine said. That's why I'm not coming back to your apartment or going home with your father tonight. Natalie's face tightened again. I'm going to my own place, Elaine continued. I will call you tomorrow. You can be angry. You cannot call Marcus and ask him to fix it. You cannot call Daniel from my phone. You cannot decide I'm abandoning you because I sleep somewhere else. I'll be alone. Yes. The answer hurt all three of us. Elaine's phone rang on the table. Marcus's name appeared. Natalie's hand moved an inch. Then it stopped. Elaine picked up the phone. Hi, honey, she said. Marcus asked something. Elaine looked at me, then at Natalie. We're still talking, she said. No, you don't need to come. She listened. We're not fine, she said. But we're here. After dinner, Elaine left first. Natalie stood inside the glass door while I stepped onto the sidewalk. Dad, I turned. Are you taking her home? No, why not? Because she chose her apartment. Natalie looked past me toward Elaine's car disappearing at the corner. Doesn't that hurt? Yes. What are you going to do? Go home. That's it? For tonight. She opened the door wider, but she didn't come outside. I don't know what happens now, she said. Neither do I. I walked to my truck. In the rearview mirror, Natalie remained behind the glass, holding the door open for herself. The house was dark when I reached it. I turned on the kitchen light and saw 3 mustard jars still lined up on the counter. I had been meaning to choose one for weeks. Instead, I put all 3 back in the refrigerator and sat at the table. My phone rang at 11. I made it home, Elaine said. Good. Don't ask if I locked the door. I wasn't going to. I locked it. Good. We sat in separate kitchens. That was awful, she said. Yes. Do you think it helped? Yes. I hate that. So do I. She was quiet. You did well with Natalie, she said. I told my daughter I was furious with her while she cried. You told her the truth. I wanted to get her water. I know. I also wanted to tell her Ryan was an idiot. He isn't. I know. He was unhappy. I know. She wasn't ready to hear that tonight. No. Another silence. I wanted to follow you home, I admitted. I looked for your truck. Would you have been angry if you saw it? Yes. Would you have been relieved? Yes. I'm starting to dislike answers that contain everything. Welcome to feelings, I smiled. Are you coming to dinner Tuesday? She asked. At your place? Yes. What should I bring? Nothing. Should I eat first? She laughed. No, I'm cooking. What? Something you don't need to supervise. I don't supervise cooking. You used a thermometer on my lasagna. One time. It was cheese. It was bubbling unevenly. Tuesday at 6:30. I'll be there. The meal was salmon with rice and green beans. Elaine overcooked the salmon. I ate all of it without comment. She watched me take the last bite. Well, it was good. It was dry. A little. Why didn't you say anything? I thought not criticizing was growth. It tasted like a kitchen sponge. I didn't know the correct emotional response. The correct response was to say we should order pizza. We ordered pizza. That became the first of several dinners at her apartment. Some went well. Some ended with one of us staring out the window while the other washed dishes too loudly. We made rules, then broke them. No discussing the marriage after 10 at night. No asking questions we only wanted, answered one way. No using Marcus or Natalie to confirm our version of a conversation. No saying fine when we meant angry, frightened, lonely, or leave me alone. The first time Elaine said, leave me alone, I drove home convinced she was ending the marriage. She called the next morning. I meant until morning. You could have said that. You could have asked. I was trying to respect your words. My words were incomplete. That's dangerous territory. We'll work on it. We did. She extended the apartment for another month. I told her I understood. Then I spent an entire evening reorganizing the garage with enough force to frighten Frank. You look angry, he said. I am. Have you told her? I told her I understood. That isn't what I asked. I called Elaine. I'm angry you extended the lease, I said. She was quiet for so long, I nearly apologized. Thank you, she said. That's an upsetting response. I'm still extending it. I know. Are you going to punish me? No. Are you going to pretend you aren't angry? Apparently not. Then I think we survived. At the repair cafe, I learned to ask what people wanted before taking things apart. This produced confusing results. Some wanted broken clocks to tick but not chime. One man wanted a radio repaired, even though he didn't intend to plug it in. Gloria returned with the Heron lamp and reported that the useless second click worked beautifully. At Frank and Sheila's, I learned to lose money without accusing Frank every time he won. He continued cheating. Marcus began coming by on Sunday afternoons. We stopped trying to recreate Elaine's dinners. Sometimes we ordered food. Sometimes he cooked. Once I told him the chili was too salty, and he said my emotional development had limits. Elaine returned to chorus rehearsal. She told me before she went. Do you want me to come to the next concert? I asked. Do you want to? Yes. Even with the chairs? I'll bring a cushion. That might be humiliating. My knee is mature enough to survive. I attended alone and sat in the 4th row. I did not check my watch. Afterward, Elaine found me in the lobby. What did you think? Instead of saying it was good, I told her about the moment during the second song, when her whole face changed because the altos entered behind her. She looked startled. You noticed that? Yes. You were watching me? Mostly. What else were you doing? Counting how many people wore the blue scarves backward. There's no backward. Then everyone did well. She took my hand. We stood that way until Marcia walked over and deliberately pretended not to see. Natalie did not come to the concert. For several weeks she responded to Elaine's calls but refused invitations. She remained in the family chat and reacted to Marcus's jokes, never mine. When I sent her a picture of a dining chair at the repair cafe that had been fixed with duct tape and a kitchen fork, she read it without responding. Elaine worried aloud. I listened. Once I said, "You could go to her apartment." Elaine shook her head. She asked for space. The irony was not lost on either of us. She might be waiting for you to fight for her, I said. She might? What will you do? Trust her to tell me. That was hard for Elaine, harder than leaving had been. Natalie called me on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Her own name appeared on the screen, her own number. I answered on the second ring. "Hi," I said. "Are you busy?" "I'm looking at a toaster. Is it interesting? It has 4 slots." "So, no, not especially." She took a breath. "Do you want to get coffee?" "When?" "Now." The coffee shop near her apartment had replaced the tables since my last visit. Natalie sat near the window, wearing a dark jacket and no makeup. She looked tired, but not fragile. I did not ask whether she was sleeping. She ordered first and paid for both of us. "You don't have to buy mine," I said. "I know." We sat. She tore her cardboard cup sleeve into thin strips, exactly as Marcus had done at my kitchen table. "How's Mom?" she asked. "You should ask her." "I do." "Then why ask me?" "I don't know how things are between you." "I don't discuss my marriage with my daughter." Her face tightened. I added, "But Elaine is doing well?" That sounded rehearsed. It was carefully selected. She looked out the window. "I'm seeing someone," she said. For one alarming second, I thought she meant romantically. "A counselor," she clarified. "Good. Don't say it like that." "Like what?" "Like I finally took your advice." "I never advised it." "You thought it." "I think many things I'm learning not to say." She smiled despite herself. "She asked why I took Mom's phone," Natalie said. "What did you tell her?" "The same thing I told you, that I was protecting her." "What did the counselor say?" "She asked what I thought would happen if Mom talked to you." "I waited. I thought she'd go home." "You were right eventually." "Has she?" "No." Natalie looked surprised. "She still has the apartment?" "Yes." "But you're seeing each other?" "Yes." "How does that work?" "Badly on some days." She rotated her cup between her hands. "I shouldn't have taken it," she said. "Her phone?" "Yes." "No, you shouldn't have. I thought you might say it was okay." "It wasn't." "Mom said the same thing. Your mother is smart. She married you, so she has range." Natalie laughed, then covered her mouth. The sound hurt in a good way. "I'm sorry," she said, "for answering, for blocking you, for saying you didn't have feelings. I'm sorry I made my feelings so hard to find. You don't have to make your apology bigger than mine. I wasn't. You were starting. Maybe." She drank her coffee. "I still think you hurt her." "I did. I don't want you to do it again." "I probably will." Her head came up. "Not the same way," I said. "I hope. But if your mother and I continue, we'll hurt each other. We have to speak when it happens. That's not comforting. It's what I have." She nodded. "I don't know how to be your daughter if I'm not protecting Mom," she said. "You could call me when your cabinet falls off. The cabinet is fine." Then coffee. She looked down. Coffee could work. When we left, she hugged me beside my truck. It was brief and awkward, one arm caught between us, because neither of us committed at the same time. It was enough. Elaine's extra month ended. She did not announce a decision. She began bringing small things back to the house. A sweater over the dining chair. Her yellow purse on the hook. The lemon tea she claimed not to like. The floral suitcase stayed at the apartment. I didn't ask why. Then, one Saturday, she arrived while I was cleaning the kitchen and stood in front of the cabinet beside the sink. One hinge had loosened. The door sagged slightly at the top. "You haven't fixed this," she said. "I noticed it." "When?" 3 weeks ago." "You left a loose hinge for 3 weeks?" "I kept wanting to fix it." "Then why didn't you?" "I thought I should ask whether you wanted the cabinet changed." She stared at me. "It's a hinge, Daniel." "I know." Her mouth twitched. "I may have overcorrected. A little. Would you like me to fix it?" "Yes." "Now?" "Yes." "Do you want the same hinge or a different kind?" Elaine started laughing. She leaned against the counter, laughing until tears gathered in the corners of her eyes. "It isn't that funny," I said. "It took 34 years for you to ask me what kind of hinge I want. In my defense, there aren't many kinds." She laughed harder. I pulled her into my arms. This time, she came without hesitation. Her phone rang on the counter. Natalie's name appeared. Elaine stepped out of my arms and answered it herself. "Hi, honey." She listened. I took the screwdriver from the drawer and knelt beside the cabinet. "No," Elaine said into the phone. "You're not interrupting anything." I looked at the hinge but didn't touch it yet. Elaine laughed at something Natalie said. Then she looked at me. "I'll ask him," she said. I raised my eyebrows. She covered the phone. "Natalie wants us to come for dinner tomorrow. Do you want to?" "Yes." "Then yes." Elaine returned to the call. While she talked, I held the cabinet door in place and waited. When she hung up, I asked, "What did she say?" Elaine rested her hand on my shoulder. "I'll tell you." She went outside and opened the trunk of her car. The floral suitcase was inside. I met her on the driveway. "Would you help me carry this?" she asked. "Where do you want it?" She looked toward the house. "Our room." I lifted the suitcase. Elaine carried her own phone.